how it played out. That doesn't happen very often. She went right to the lead, wire to wire. Obviously a huge step up here.
Here's Harvey's Lil Goyle, filly by American Pharaoh, who has been very versatile, running well on both turf and dirt, but does look to be that grass is perhaps her better surface stepping up today.
I know Shug McGahee is bullish on Civil Union. He really likes her. She's a lightly raced 5-year-old. She's only raced 8 times, so she's won 4 in a row, and she's improving each and every start. There she is up on the board at 11-1.
A lot of patience has been put into play with Shug McGahee and Civil Union. Here's the 11, Adaria. We heard from her trainer, James Franchise. This is his first Breeders' Cup starter, and he said it looks like she might be on or close to the lead.
Lady Prancelot is 55-1. That would make her the second biggest price on the board. She's lost 5 in a row. The good news is her only start over this turf course was a win in the Grade 3 Valley View.
Here's Nay Lady Nay, the 4th of 4 for trainer Chad Brown. Finished 3rd behind Civil Union and My Sister Nat last time in the Flower Bowl.
Acacia likes to say cayenne. I'll go with cayenne pepper, the 14. Really emphatic 4-length win in her last start. Amma Grace was the pace hitter. She blew right by her to win by 4. A filly on the uprise, 3-year-old, 8 lifetime starts, really improving Shane Foley in the irons.
I was told by a few of our European counterparts it is cayenne. We are American, so I think it's not so bad if we say cayenne. But however you say it, I think she's a filly with a big chance in here.
I'm right, Acacia, and you're wrong.
There we go. We'll put it that way. Let's get out of this conversation. Let's go to Joaquin Jaime.
Well, Acacia, time for another DRF formulator fact for the filly mare turf here. And we look to the 6 in rushing fall. Chad Brown is 6 for 15 over the past 2 years with last out winners, returning from 61 to 120-day layoffs in turf route graded stakes races. Rushing fall was freshened up after winning the Bogey, Jenny Wiley, and Grade 1 Diana in preparation for the Breeders' Cup. Remember, the most powerful past performances in horse racing are available on DRF.com. Let's go back to Gabby.
Shug McGahee sending out the number 10, Civil Union. She has been so good this year. What do you attribute that to?
I think just the time, the way I was able to sort of place her races, and you know, she was just getting better and better and better every time I ran her, and we'll see how she's better after the Flower Bowl.
This is honestly her biggest test today. How do you think she's going to fare with that?
Well, that's something we'll find out. You know, we'll see if she's going to have to step it up, as you say. You know, there's really a good race and a lot of good fillies in here, and you know, so we'll just see. I mean, she's trained like she's going to run well, and she had a good works at Belmont before we came here, and she's had a decent week here. So, you know, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Good luck, Shug.
Thank you, Gabby.
Shug McGahee, Hall of Fame trainer, has Civil Union in top form right now. She's undefeated since coming off of that layoff and coming back here in 2020. We'll see if she can keep that good momentum going, stepping forward today, as we do have a strong European contingent here in the filly and mare turf. For more, let's go to Naomi.
Thanks, Acacia. Well, I'm going to say something that Matt might like, because I know he's a little bit keen on Peaceful. And I must say that seeing her in the paddock, she looks stunning, wonderful. Lots of length to her, gleaming coat. I'm just so happy to see her turn up like she has here today. She's full of herself. She was on her toes. And as she was warming up, Ryan was sort of next to the pony. And I think that's something that the Euros tend to do more, because we don't pony our horses back in Europe. So he just had the company of the pony, and she looked like she was just cruising over the track. And of course, her breeding Galileo on a sprint mare, a combination that has worked so well. That last race, I'm going to cross it out. That was heavy ground, and Aidan O'Brien himself said he shouldn't have run her there because the ground didn't suit her. And on her outside is the number 4, Mean Mary. Now, she's a filly I absolutely love, and I was there at Saratoga when she was such a game second there to Rushing Fall. She was right there the whole way and really laid her heart down on the wire. And Graham actually said he wished that this race was 1.25 miles, because that's how much she stays. So I'm going to hope that she's going to make the running and take them all the way, Acacia.
Naomi, thank you. As Graham Motion said before that, Diana, that pointing to the Breeders' Cup at 1 3/16 miles, he wanted to make sure she had the ability to go shorter. And after a good run in the Diana at 1 1/8 miles, gets a little bit more ground to deal with today. Simon, any other thoughts here on this filly and mare turf race?
Well, I'm going with Cayenne Pepper to the outside at 10-1. I think she's got the form. I mean, you look through her past performances, she's run well against Magical, who's going to get a lot of attention in the Breeders' Cup turf. She's run against Tanawa, who's going to get a lot of attention in that same race. But I don't think the draw is going to be too much of an issue here going a mile and 3/16. They will start at the top of the stretch, but with her running style, she'll probably save ground around that first turn as we take a look at her there on the screen in front of us. And she is represented in the Silks of Sarah Kelly, a US-based owner, but she's got some tremendous form. She's won 50% of her starts. Shane Foley, of course, first call rider to Jessica Harrington, a very good trainer. So I'll end up with Cayenne Pepper in here as my top pick at 10-1. But this is a deep, competitive race. I respect Peaceful. I think domestically, Sister Charlie might be sitting on a big one, although she hasn't been quite the same in 2020. I've just got a feeling that she might come back to form here in the late fall.
Yeah, I certainly have to take a good long look at Sister Charlie in here. Matt, she's a champion. She's won this race before. She's coming in off of two okay efforts here in 2020, but owner Peter Brandt, who got back into the game after a long hiatus as well, saying he's going to keep her, he's going to race her foals, he enjoys watching her race, and why not bring her back for another year? We'll see if she can get back to the winner's circle today.
Third start of the year, that's a plus. Getting more pace, that's a plus. You could argue she's had so many good performances. Obviously, she won this race at Churchill 2 years ago. She had a scintillating win here. I mean, only start over this turf course. That win in the Jenny Wiley, you hear turn of foot used a lot. Boy, did she put that on display to win by 2 1/4 lengths with a big figure. April of 2018. That was off a long layoff, too. So she's handled this turf course beautifully, her only time over it. I think she's a big player in this race. A huge long shot that I'll give you right now. Civil Union, the 10, Gabby talking to Shug, and she's on the board at 11-1. My Sister Nat, the 5, and Lady Nay, the 13, they're all coming out of the Flower Bowl, right? They're all separated by 3 parts of a length. I thought My Sister Nat was the best horse in that race. She was second beaten ahead. She didn't break particularly well. She was wide. I thought she had some issues in that race. She split horses late just off the rail and missed by a head. So I think you could argue she was the best of the 3 in that race. She's 25-1 on the board right now. Horse like Civil Union's 11.
I totally agree with you. And as I mentioned in the post parade, My Sister Nat's always a tough mare for me because she's not exactly the winning type. She sometimes has some trouble getting out of the gate.
That's fair.
She's a lighter frame type. But last time in the Flower Bowl, and I had liked Civil Union that day too, felt that My Sister Nat really took the worst of it and probably ran the best race.
I agree. So I think she's a player, but it's post time, and I'm going to go with Peaceful. She beat Fancy Blue by 2 lengths. She lost her by a neck at a mile and 5/16. Out of that race, Fancy Blue, the daughter of Deep Impact, came back to win the Qatar Nassau Group 1 at Goodwood. I love the class lines, the way she looks on the racetrack, lightly raced, getting better, and there's some value. 11-1 with Ryan Moore, who won this race with Dank in 2013.
You're getting double-digit odds on Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. Nothing wrong with that. A reminder, this does kick off the pick 6 here, $1 million guarantee. It's way past that. It's time for the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf Rushing Fall. 1 of 4 for trainer Chad Brown, holding steady as your favorite. He also has the sisters, My Sister Nat and Sister Charlie, trying to get him to the winner's circle as well. We'll send it up to track announcer Kurt Becker for the rest of the load and the live call of the Filly and Mare Turf.
Last one moves into line. They're at the post. They're off. In the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, Starship Jubilee unseated the rider coming out of the gate. Starship Jubilee has unseated the rider. Mean Mary out for the lead. Here's Rushing Fall moving into second. Peaceful is away, running in third toward the inside. Mucho Unusual comes out fourth. Terrabellum is in fifth. There's Cayenne Pepper moving up a couple of spots from sixth. And Harvey's Little Goyle is seventh. Odaria is in eighth. Civil Union is in ninth as they head for the turn. Lady Prancelot is 10th. Sister Charlie is 11th. My Sister Nat is in 12th, right behind her into the turn. And Nay, Lady Nay, is at the back of the pack. Back up front, it is Cayenne Pepper who's gotten the lead and gets over to the rail. And and leads it by a length. Mean Mary second, 3/4 of a length. Rushing Fall third, a half length. Peaceful fourth to her inside. Terabellum is in fifth. Then Mucho Unusual to the outside. Odaria and Harvey's Old Goyle. Opening quarter went in 23.5. The first half mile in 47.44 seconds. Cayenne Pepper the leader. Cayenne Pepper leads it by a half length. Mean Mary second between horses, 3/4 of a length. Rushing Fall center of the course is third, a half length. Peaceful. Then Odaria, who's looking for some running room toward the inside, moves up into fifth. Terabellum is sixth. Mucho Unusual wide to the far turn in seventh. Harvey's Old Goyle has lost some ground in eighth. Civil Union is ninth. Lady Prancelot, Sister Charlie, My Sister Nat, Nay Lady Nay at the back, and Mean Mary has taken the lead. And Rushing Fall has gone to second. Cayenne Pepper, though, is still there down toward the inside. A quarter mile to go. Mean Mary, Rushing Fall now 1-2 off the far turn. Odaria has to switch off the rail, is third, and still 3 lengths from the front pair, but coming on. Rushing Fall, Mean Mary. Odaria tries to join them. Lady Prancelot and Harvey's Little Goyle running late. Rushing Fall has the lead. Odaria is trying to draw alongside of her. It is Rushing Fall, Mean Mary, Odaria, Harvey's Little Goyle, Lady Prancelot. Here comes Odaria with another try on the outside of Rushing Fall. Odaria just would not quit and gets up to win it for Pierre-Charles Boudot. 1 minute 52.72 seconds, course record.
Another course record, our 4th course record of the day, this time on the turf, as Odaria, the French-bred filly, just gets up over Rushing Fall. We do have to note that the number 1 Starship Jubilee in here did unseat her rider, Florent Giroux, at the start. She has been picked up by the outrider, and she seems to be just fine. We will give you, of course, any updates as we have them on her rider. But the number 11, Matt Odaria. Here's another look at this stretch. Mean Mary and Rushing Fall, it looked like they were having a little rematch duel up front for a while.
Yeah, it's like the Diana all over again from August 23rd. And here comes your eventual winner, Odaria, down the center of the turf course. I mentioned in her last start, the Prix de l'Opera Longines at Longchamp, she got run down. This time, she did the running down. She kind of had the grinded-out win down the center of the turf course, and that is no easy task, grinding away at Rushing Fall and being able to get a mare who doesn't really know how to lose, 11 for 14 lifetime, and able to accomplish that. So, huge win, and this is a filly who's now won at 12-1, 47-1, beaten a length at 15-1, and another double-digit win for her in the filly and mare turf.
Big run from the runner-up as well, the 9, Harvey's Lil Goyle for Belmont, as we're going to ride along with the rider, Pierre-Charles Boudot, who's the winner on Odaria, the jockey cam. I love this, Matt, getting a chance to see what it's like riding a Breeders' Cup winner.
Yeah, it's unbelievably cool, frightening for someone like me, but that's just great footage. It really is, and what a moment for the connections. And this is a filly. You think about it. I mean, you raced it at Longchamp. It's a little more than a month ago, and that was a tough race too. I mean, that was a grueling race. So to be able to run over a heavy course at 1.25 miles in France and give it your all and come up a little bit short, and then ship to the States, and 5 weeks later win a race like this, giving your all once again, but this time being on the right side. Amazing. And 17-1. I didn't realize the price was that high.
She was a big price up there on the board. The first Breeders' Cup runner for this barn, a Breeders' Cup winner, and defeating a former Breeders' Cup winner as well in Rushing Fall, who did manage to hold on for second. Another really gutsy effort there. But this is a rider, Pierre-Charles Boudot, as well, that I've been really impressed with, Matt, and following along with some of the European racing. You mentioned the time frame, as a lot of the European races, just as we've seen here in the U.S., had to be rescheduled, and the timing a lot different as far as the preps leading up to the Breeders' Cup. But it all seemed to work out, Simon, for Odaria. What a big performance today.
Huge performance, great win for trainer James Fanshawe, first Breeders' Cup starter. Many moons ago, he used to assist Sir Michael Stout as an assistant, went out on his own a long time ago, had tremendous success, but internationally now gets a first big win here. Rushing Fall with a good effort. And Harvey's Little Goyle, you touched on her finishing a big third as the 3-year-old. She might be a filly to look forward to next year. She can make a noise in this race a year from now with that 4-year-old year ahead of her. Lady Prancelot completed the Superfecta, and Civil Union checked in 5th. Odaria, huge win. 4-year-old daughter by Wooten Bassett out of the Green 2 mare Green Bananas. Acacia.
the very highly sought after stallion, Wooten Bassett. Breeders' Cup win for the French bred Adaria. And as mentioned, the one Starship Jubilee, who did unseat her rider at the start, she was picked up by the outrider and is just fine. And we did get confirmation that her rider, Florent Giroux, is just fine as well. So some good news there as we see some celebration from jockey Pierre-Charles Boudot. Congratulations to Adaria, winner of the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf.
In the winner's circle for race 7, the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf, 11 Odaria. Owned by Mrs. A.M. Swinburne, trained by James Fanshawe. The winning jockey is Pierre-Charles Boudot. Odaria, 4-year-old filly by Wooten Bassett out of Green Bananas by Green Tune. The winner bred in France by SARL Ara Decove. Mile and 3/16 over the turf listed firm, 1 minute 52.72 seconds. Course record.
Lafitte, thank you. I did have the opportunity to speak with Florent Giroux, who's doing just fine. He bounced up quickly. It was just a very unfortunate circumstance. Starship Jubilee basically going to her nose out of the gate. So unfortunate that she didn't get to run her race, but she's okay. He's okay. I asked him how that might affect him mentally moving forward. Of course.
Very much in the trophy presentation winner's circle here alongside Rob Samuels, who's the managing director of Breeders' Cup Partners Maker's Mark and grandson of the founders of that distinguished organisation as well. And Rob is going to present the trophy on behalf of the winning owner Alison Swinburne, who sadly can't be with us today, to Jacko Fanshawe, wife of trainer James, who's with us as well. The Fanshawes' first Breeders' Cup runner is a winner. Rob.
Thank you. On behalf of the Samuels family, it couldn't be a greater honor, as Keeneland was our very first customer in the very beginning in the 1950s, to be a part of Breeders' Cup, to sponsor the filly and mare turf race. And just on behalf of the Maker's Mark team, congratulations for such an exciting race.
Rob, thank you very much. Jacko, if I could ask you just to come forward, I'd be most grateful for a few words. We've heard from James, but I know that for the last, just here would be great, for the last 3 decades, you've been a huge part of this team and this success, and I know you'd like to accept the trophy on behalf of Alison Swinburne.
Yes, I would. Alison's incredibly sad that she's not here today, but I can assure you she'll be celebrating hugely with her family this afternoon, and she's very, very grateful and that her filly has won this afternoon, and very grateful to the sponsors. Thank you very much.
Jacko, you and James and your son Tom, you're a great team, and you train at Pegasus Stables in Newmarket, which was once the home of the legendary jockey Fred Archer. It's another historic moment. What does it mean to the whole team back home, do you think, this victory?
Oh, my goodness me. I couldn't put in words what this will mean. I mean, it's the biggest win of our whole career, isn't it, James? And they will be feeling it as we are feeling it now.
And James, perhaps one final word. The man on my right, Pierre-Charles Boudot, stepped in for the ride at the 11th hour because sadly Eurytz Mondizabal couldn't be here because he didn't pass a COVID test. But you've got a super sub here in PC.
Yeah, it's bad luck on Eurytz, but Eurytz and Pierre-Charles share the same agent. And Eurytz looks like he gave Pierre-Charles the right instructions. And you know, thanks to him, and Pierre-Charles gave her a fantastic ride, got to the inside, and she kept finding when she asked him in the final 2 furlongs.
A wonderful moment for you all. Many congratulations to Alison Swinburne and to you, Pierre-Charles. Best of luck on Mogul in the Breeders' Cup turf a little bit later on. Lafitte Audaria takes home the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf, and it's a second win on Breeders' Cup afternoon for horses trained in the UK.
Last one moves into line. They're at the post. They're off. In the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf, Starship Jubilee unseated the rider coming out of the gate. Starship Jubilee has unseated the rider. Mean Mary out for the lead. Here's Rushing Fall moving into second. Peaceful is away, running in third toward the inside. Mucho Unusual comes out fourth. Terrabellum is in fifth. There's Cayenne Pepper moving up a couple of spots from sixth. And Harvey's Little Goyle is seventh. Odaria is in eighth. Civil Union is in ninth as they head for the turn. Lady Prancelot is 10th. Sister Charlie is 11th. My Sister Nat is in 12th, right behind her into the turn. And Nay, Lady Nay is at the back of the pack. Back up front, it is Cayenne Pepper who's gotten the lead and gets over to the rail and leads it by a length. Mean Mary second, 3/4 of a length. Rushing Fall third, a half length. Peaceful fourth to her inside. Terrabellum is in fifth. Then Mucho Unusual to the outside. Odaria and Harvey's Little Goyle. Opening quarter went in 23.5. The first half mile in 47.44 seconds. Cayenne Pepper the leader. Cayenne Pepper leads it by a half length. Mean Mary second between horses, 3/4 of a length. Rushing Fall center of the course is third, a half length. Peaceful. Then Odaria, who's looking for some running room toward the inside, moves moves up into 5th. Terrabellum is 6th. Mucho Unusual wide to the far turn in 7th. Harvey's Little Goyle has lost some ground in 8th. Civil Union is 9th. Lady Prancelot, Sister Charlie, My Sister Nat, Nay Lady Nay at the back, and Mean Mary has taken the lead. And Rushing Fall has gone to 2nd. Cayenne Pepper, though, is still there down toward the inside. A quarter mile to go. Mean Mary, Rushing Fall now 1-2 off the far turn. Odaria has to switch off the rail, is 3rd, and still 3 lengths from the front pair, but coming on. Rushing Fall, Mean Mary. Odaria tries to join them. Lady Prancelot and Harvey's Little Goyle running late. Rushing Fall has the lead. Odaria is trying to draw alongside of her. It is Rushing Fall, Mean Mary, Odaria, Harvey's Little Goyle, Lady Prancelot. Here comes Odaria with another try on the outside of Rushing Fall. Odaria just would not quit and gets up to win it for Pierre Charles Boudot. 1 minute 52.7.
Hey, neighbor, we got to talk.
Well, Jay? No, he only comes to Bugle on race days.
Race days?
With the TVG app, every day is race day. You can place bets right in your phone, even stream live races.
Upcoming race at the Breeders' Cup?
I can have a day at the track whenever I want, right at home.
Coming through, guys.
Go get him, Mike.
Mike Smith?
Yeah, Mike Smith.
There's a new home of horse racing. Yours. Get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to $250.
Eclipse champion Blame. Ranked among the top stallions of his crop, Blame has sired over 60 stakes horses. His recent top performers include Grade 1 Arkansas Derby winner Nadal, Graded Stakes winner Blame Debbie, and these Graded Stakes performers. Outstanding value, outstanding results. Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They say the harder the work, the greater the reward. And this is hard work. It's the hours put in before dawn and after dark. It's the sacrifice, the sweat, the failure, and the faith. This is our industry. This is our life's work.
500,000, well done.
Audible let loose on the outside to take the lead. Audible by 3. Hosberg can't get him. Audible, no doubt about it. Audible on the inside turns away the challenge of Free Drop Billy. No confrontation at all. It's Audible to win the Holy Bull with style.
Audible on the outside races to the lead. Audible wins by 2.5.
Introducing the Equibase app with all new features, including Smart Pick, smart handicapping made easy. Choose your track, choose your race, and then go to Smart Pick. Select your level of risk, the size of your wager, and which of these 3 strategies you want to emphasize. Smart Pick will then tailor your very own selection and bet amount. It couldn't be easier. Smart Pick, one of the exciting new features in the Equibase app. Download it free of charge today.
Welcome back to the Players Shows. I'm pleased to be joined by Daily Racing Form correspondent Mike Welsh, also a big part of clocking a lot of the horses as well. Mike, as you give out the clocker report, what are some things that have stood out to you in leading up to this Breeders' Cup weekend?
Well, this costs a different year, and a lot of the horses didn't come in till late. We do have people all over the country watching the works. I got a good shot to watch the last 10 days, and of course the last few days after the works, watching a lot of these horses as they galloped. And you can tell a lot from just their gallops and their their body language and stuff. So we've had a couple of winners already from horses that I just like the way they saw here the last couple of days. So, I look forward to coming and seeing that more than anything.
Well, let's see if we can keep that momentum going. The Breeders' Cup Sprint coming up. Who's the pick?
Well, I thought this race was very, very wide open, and I think the key to it is going to be the early portion of it. We've seen how the racetrack's been playing. I don't know if this is going to change a lot of people's thinkings and a lot of trainers' strategy. Seems to be favoring speed. It's been hard for horses to come from off the pace. You've had 3 track records on the main track already. My picks were Diamond Oops and Ferenz Fire, just looking for a little value in here and hoping that the pace kind of come back to them a little bit. But now with the way the track is playing, the Alpine Frank's Rocket, they're the speed. I think if Yalpan can get loose on the lead, he might be good enough to steal the race, but I'm not sure Frank's Rocket's going to let him do that. Steve Asmussen gave me a great quote about 2 weeks ago when I asked him about Nashville and then Yalpan. He said he called Yalpan Nashville with 2 more starts. So if that means anything, after watching Nashville today, you got to like Yalpan. But my picks for value in here are Diamond Oops and Ferenc Fire if he could run his best race.
The highlight of the day, the Classic, coming up a little bit later on. Who do you like in there?
I like Improbable as the most logical winner. He's going to be a small price, so when I made my picks, I picked Tom DeTat just so I'd be a little value, but he seems to be kind of a wise guy horse. And now with his running style, too, he's going to need a little bit more help up front or be a little more forwardly placed. I just think Improbable, his works in California were very good, and I just absolutely loved him when he showed up here. The couple of days I got to see him in the morning, he just was coming out of his skin, just made a super appearance. So he's my top pick. Tisdalar is my sentimental pick, and I'd love to see him win just for Barkley. And having seen him all year long, he couldn't be training any better coming into the race. His work here, his last work here, I thought was every bit as good as his work before the Travers, which I think was his best race. The question is, are the 3-year-olds in here good enough to beat the older horses, and can he work out a trip from down inside? We know he likes to run outside. Manny Franco's probably going to have to go with him early and then hope he can get around Authentic and maybe Maximum Security to get him that outside trip. So Tisdalar couldn't be doing better. Is he good enough? We'll see. But from what I've seen, Improbable is my top pick as the favorite.
Great insight as always, Mike. Thank you. Best of luck with all the picks.
Thank you.
The Breeders' Cup Sprint is not for the faint of heart, as the best sprinters in the world throw down the gauntlet over 6 furlongs. Last year at Santa Anita, Mitole stopped the clock in 109 flat with a scintillating stretch rally. When the Breeders' Cup came to Keeneland in 2015, Run Happy produced a similarly breathtaking performance, and it was the 1992 sprint that put a relatively unknown trainer on the map, as Bob Baffert won it with 30 slews. This is the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
And with the announcement earlier this week that Vekoma would have to scratch because of a fever, the morning line favored out. It opened it up even more. What has been a wide open year, and the sprint division comes to this, the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Welcome back to the Breeders' Cup Players Show. I'm Todd Schrupp, joined by Matt Carruthers and Caton Bradar. Matthew, taking a look at this field and where the money is going earlier, they are backing Yalpan, the 3-year-old, for Steve Asmussen, who's 4 for 4, but usually the Chick Lang is not the lead-in race to the winner of the Breeders' Cup Sprint. This is quite a step up for Yalpan today.
It is. He's really fast. He's really gifted. Speaking of fast and gifted, Run Happy won the 2015 sprint here at Keeneland 5 years ago. He hasn't beaten much, but he's done it real easily. So he's kind of a tough read for that. The Chick Lang, he put away the other speed. The runner-up Double Crown kind of plotted home, in my opinion, to finish second. The win in the Amsterdam couple starts back. Basin's a horse that out of that race lost to a horse named Cool Arrow. And I bring up Cool Arrow because Cool Arrow finished last of 5 in that optional 150 race that the 4 Bon Rasson won, and the 5 Manny Wah was second in here at Keeneland on the 16th of October. Just kind of the point that he hasn't beaten much, but he's really, really fast and he's undefeated.
Looking at the field in the paddock in the middle of it all, Mike Joyce.
Here with trainer Peter Miller, knows a thing or two about winning a Breeders' Cup race. He's done so in the past, looks to again with Frank's Rocket. How good, or CZ Rocket, how good has this horse become under your care? And did you ever have the Breeders' Cup on your mind when you first claimed him?
You never have the Breeders' Cup on your mind when you claim a $40,000 horse, you know. He just took to our program, and we got lucky. He went the right way, and he's a talented horse.
Those last couple of wins, how did they set him up coming into today?
You know, I think they set him up well. You know, I think he's got tactical speed. He's sharp. He's doing well. You know, I don't like that the track's favoring speed because we're going to have to come from off it a little bit. But hopefully track plays fair and we get a good trip.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Currently, CZ Rocket up on the board at 5-1. Joaquin?
Ron Whitmore tops the field in earnings in the Breeders' Cup Sprint with $3.2 million. He's been racing for about the last 6 racing seasons. What is it about your horse that's enabled him to have such a long racing career so far?
I really think, one, it's his conformation, but 2, it's all the work that my barn does. We're really big into therapy, and we let him write the training chart. Sometimes it causes us to miss certain races. Sometimes it causes us to maneuver around, but we try to do everything what's best for the horse.
He's coming in here off a 4th place finish. How did you assess that performance here at Keeneland?
I was okay with it based on how the track was playing. I mean, a little concerned with the track today. With the, if you have a closer and you look up and you see 3 track records, that's kind of hard to ignore. So that means horses are going to the front and they're staying. And with us being a dedicated closer, it's something that we're going to have to overcome. And but we're ready. We just go out there and see what happens.
So you don't change his style at all. You just kind of have to rock with the style and come from behind here.
That's basically what we're going to do. Is I'm going to tell the rider to ride a smart race and get all he can get, try to win it, and bring him home safely.
Good luck, Ron.
Thank you.
I thought one of the more remarkable streaks in this race was Kona Gold participating 5 times. I mean, think about that. It's not so much winning sometimes coming to the Breeders' Cup, it's the fact that you even get here. And so for Whitmore to be here with his 4th attempt at the Breeders' Cup Sprint just speaks volumes to his talent.
And the last 3 for Kona Gold, right? 3rd and 2nd, and he finally got the win for Bruce Headley and Alex Solis. Yeah, the thing that I worry about with Whitmore a little bit, and I have all the respect for Ron. He's one of the real good guys in the game, and this has been a neat horse for a long time. It looks like to me maybe he's at his best at Oaklawn at this stage of his career. I put for the ticket, Todd. I've used a couple of bombs. I think something really silly could happen in this race. I have 2 horses on my ticket, yes, the 4 and the 5, that are 63-1 and 59-1. I think that optional 50 win here on the 16th of October stacks up right there with others in this field. And I think Forensic Fire is the horse to beat in this race for Kelly Breen. I loved his win in the Vosburg. He has enough speed. He can be tactical. This horse has back classes in good form. He's made over $2 million. The 4th place finisher in the Vosburg was True Timber. I thought he came back around a pretty good 2nd in the Lafayette earlier on today. So I do like Forensic Fire. There is the ticket. And I think Monomoy Girl is a single in race 10, the distaff.
So you do realize the pick 5 you just put out has the potential to pay more than what the horse who wins this race earns.
I'm angry after what happened yesterday. Yes.
Okay. But you did get 4 or 5. That was good news arriving late. Caton, how are you going to play this pick 5? We're up to $2.25 million right now.
Well, either Matt is going to have a great day or I'm going to have a good day. But I don't think either one of we can't both win. Let's put it that way. The only thing we have in common is the single of Monomoy Girl in the middle. And we do see race 11 very similarly with the 1, 2, and 3. But otherwise, I kind of went for more formful type races surrounding it, particularly with this race. I think the logical horses, the 2 CZ Rocket, the 10 Yapan with the speed, and also the 11 Diamond Oops, I think sitting on a really big race. And I thought race 9 was really one of the toughest races of the day from a handicapping perspective. So I got coverage there as well as in the Classic. The Classic, what for me was a stand that I may live to regret, but that is to take a stand against the 3-year-olds in favor of the older horses. The more I've seen of the racing today, the more I'm sort of regretting the decision to leave out the 3-year-olds in the Classic. But I am top pick with maximum security there for the Breeders' Cup Classic with his speed to the outside. So he could definitely open things up a little bit so far as payoffs are concerned.
It is going to be one of the biggest pools of the 2 days of racing, this late pick 5, beginning here with the Breeders' Cup Sprint. The entire wagering menu on the Breeders' Cup Sprint: win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta, jackpot, super high 5 wagering, then horizontally speaking, daily double, pick 3, and the start of the aforementioned late pick 5. Here's a look at the 2 CZ Rocket, our post parade underway for the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
He's won 5 in a row, Ty. The question a lot of these horses have, this is a big field here, right? A lot of these horses can have short fields. The 2 is one of them.
The 3 Collusion Illusion is coming off the 3rd place finish behind CZ Rocket. I think his best game is to just sit a little off the pace and try to take his best shot.
I like the win from Boner Son. I do, for Jack Sisterson, who claimed this horse for $80,000 at Saratoga over the summer back in July.
And he was a bit of a horse for course, but he does have to up his game. 2nd last out against much easier. This will be his 2nd start off the layoff, and there's the filly, Frank's Rocket.
Yeah, and Bill Mott said, hey, it's about the distance. We want 6 furlongs over 7. That's why they're here. She's fast. She's won 4 in a row. I don't think it's one of the strongest sprints we've seen, so she has a chance.
Warhorse Whitmore at the age of 7 still going strong. Finished 4th in the Phoenix Stakes. Hopefully he can have his day today. And Firenze Fire couldn't look better. His win in the Vosburg was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that visually he was awesome in the Vosburg. Empire of Gold. I don't know how he lost to Phoenix. He was the winner of that race. And he got run down late at 51-1 here October 2nd.
Yapan, I think the speed of the speed and 4-for-4 lifetime. No telling how good this 3-year-old son of Uncle Mo is, but we will find out a lot more today, as I think he's the one they have to catch, or at least pressure early. Diamond Oops, I also think, is sitting on a big race looking for his 3rd consecutive victory.
Yeah, if I don't know how Empire of Gold lost, I don't know how Diamond Oops won that race. I don't know. He just extended himself late to win by 3 parts of a length. He's a little bit of a wise guy horse, Todd. I've been hearing a lot of people like him, and it's reflected in the odds right now at 4-1.
Hog Creek Hustle would seem to have the track working a little against him. We haven't seen too many closers able to hit the winner's circle, but he does have a lethal late kick. And there's the Euro off of a couple races in Japan. Kind of hard to make a case for. I'm not quite sure what to make out of him because it's such a different situation today.
And here's Lasting Legacy at 78-1 with the scratch that Todd mentioned of Vacoma. Decent 4th in his last start, 2 lengths behind Strike That. But this horse 5 wins and only made $259,000, a notch or 2 below most in here.
Yeah, his part owner, David Birdson, runs one of the biggest betting operations, well, actually the biggest betting operation in the United States. Let's get an angle on this race with Acacia Courtney.
And it's Frank's Rocket who defeated Next Out winner Honor Way. She got a 91 buyer in the Pumpkin Pie Stakes at Belmont last time out. Just a tough old mare. Frank's Rocket was rolling home to win the Gallant Bloom. Trainer Bill Mott is 4 for the last 15, 27%. That's a $2.81 ROI, with last out winners returning 3rd off a 61-day or greater layoff. So Frank's Rocket, filly in against the boys. She stacks up in here, and that's a good stat to back it up. You can get free DRF past performances for the Breeders' Cup at drf.com/free.
And Matt, traditionally over the years, horses in the Breeders' Cup Sprint have performed well, do have some time off coming into the big race.
That's a good point, Ty. Yes. The other thing to bring up is it's kind of neat, I think, to see a filly in this race, right? Before there was the filly and mare sprint, as you're well aware.
Mia Farah.
Oh, that was an awful loss for me. Cardmania on the wire with Delaware. But fillies,
safely kept.
Desert Stormer. Fillies have done extremely well in this race, and obviously once they went to the
extra
heat, I believe ran 3rd to Squirtle Squirt. I believe memory serves me.
How long do you want to do this game?
I think we're done now. Okay. But it's fun to see because the fillies, they can win. They've done it, and they haven't had to really compete in this race since the advent of the filly and mare sprint. So it's nice to see a quality filly like Frank's Rocket facing the boys at 6 furlongs. I will say this: Honor Way did come back and win the Pumpkin Pie. It was a field of 5 in the slot.
The Pick 5 pool is now past $3 million. This will be the biggest Pick 5 of this 2 days of championship racing for horizontal players. It'll be one of the biggest pools they will bet into. It starts right here with the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Kate, we know how this goes. Everyone knows the trend on the track. So all of a sudden we see jockeys sending. There's going to be one race where someone overcomes the trend and upsets the field. If there is a big late closer in this race, who is it?
Boy, that's a good question. I don't know if you can come from too far off the pace, but I think Collusion Illusion is kind of an interesting horse. CZ Rocket also doesn't have to be on the lead. Either one of these horses is very versatile. They've shown some extremely good efforts, both from off the pace as well as right on the front, and they're both very fast. CZ Rocket loves this racetrack, so I give him a little bit of an edge, and I did not use the 3 Collusion Illusion on my ticket. However, I do think that if you respect his form, and given the fact that maybe are going for the trend of breaking in this race, if you take a contrarian's approach, then Collusion Illusion is a very logical choice. He wasn't that far behind CZ Rocket in what I thought was a bit of a flat effort for him, even though the time was very good. Before that, 3 consecutive victories from June all the way till August, he held his form remarkably well and could rebound here with that kind of stalking trip under Flavien Prat at a big price. Actually not as big, though, as I expected, since he's down to 12-1. I'm going to throw out a long shot just as far as looks were concerned. Not a horse that I necessarily had chosen off of form, but the 15 at 75-1 shouldn't be 75-1 in my opinion. If you're looking for that bomb away type horse to use in your exotics, I thought he looked exceptionally well. He's a hard trying horse, and I could see him at least getting a piece of this with a closing late kick if that pace does collapse.
The field is being called towards a starting gate for the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and one pool is now headed towards $3.5 million. It's the pick 5 pool. Matthew, will the track record that Nashville set earlier today last more than 4.5 hours?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I'm going to say something a little contrarian right now. That's what I do. You've known me for 30 years. That, yes, is speed good over this racetrack? Yeah. But look who has been going gate to wire. Nashville. He was 1-9. He couldn't lose. Gamine. She was heavily favored. She's a freak at one turn, right? Knicks go. We've seen closers do well. I think the track is obviously lightning fast. But I think we have seen horses win from off the pace on the main track. I mean, everyone coming in today was saying the main track was fair yesterday. So we had a fair track yesterday. I think you can win from off. I think the best horses have been the fastest horses that have gone wire to wire, and the times have been ridiculous. This is a more evenly matched group. We don't have a horse like Nashville or Gamine in this race. So I think the possibility is there for an off-the-pace horse to win. Time fast, but you can close.
You can't spell contrarian without the C in Matt Carruthers. They are getting towards the starting gate here for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Caton gave us a range of horses that she thought could win. If it's just, I mean, I know you've got 50-1, 60, 9-1, and 8-1. Who's your top pick here?
Frenzy Fire. I like the 8 for Kelly Breen. I thought watching the backtracks of all these horses' last races that I thought visually he looked the most impressive in the win in the Vosburg. So they turned him back to 6 furlongs. He got a fast racetrack. He showed speed. He rated. He wasn't favored. Share the Ride is a really good racehorse who was the pace setter in that race who ran 3rd. He came back and ran 2nd, beaten ahead with 100 Buyer in the Grade 3 Bull Ruler, losing to Majestic Dunhill in his next start. So I love that win from Firenze Fire. I like his running style. I know Kelly's confident in his chances. I think this is his best game right now, 6 furlongs. Firenze Fire for me, 88.
It has always been one of the most exceptional races in Breeders' Cup history, bringing together the top sprinters throughout the year in a full field. You also got to be a little bit lucky to win in here with the size of the field, and the moment is at hand in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. The pick 5 pool is now getting towards $4.5 million beginning here. Let's check where the money has shown up. Japan is the 9-5 favorite, the 10 in here. As far as the second choice, looking at just to the outside, that is the 11 Diamond Oops at 9-2, and the former $40,000 claimer CZ Rocket is our third choice at 5-1, coming in on a 5-race win streak and is 2 for 2 here at Keeneland. A championship moment at hand. It's race number 8 here from Keeneland Breeders' Cup Day, Saturday. It is the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let's go up to track announcer Kurt Becker.
Last one moves into line at the post. They're off in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. There goes Empire of Gold. There goes Echo Town. Jasper Prince has early speed as well. CZ Rocket comes away 4th. Yopon up close in 5th. Frank's Rocket is away running in 6th. Manny Wah goes 7th. Diamond Oops is 8th on the far outside. Whitmore is in between horses in 9th. Lasting Legacy moves up 10th. Firenze Fire is 11th. Collusion Illusion 12th to the inside of Bone Rayson, and Hog Creek Hustle is wide and last, headed to the far turn. 21.64 seconds the time for the opening quarter. Jasper Jasper Prince against the rail. Leads it by a length around the far turn. Empire of Gold, second by 3/4 of a length. Yo Pond is in third. CZ Rocket is in fourth. Diamond Oops and Lasting Legacy move as a team to the center of the track. Echo Town and Maniwa in some traffic looking toward the inside. Jasper Prince the leader. Here comes Empire of Gold on the outside of that one. Echo Town, an awkward move there. CZ Rocket is moving up on the outside. Here's Whitmore. Here's Whitmore. Here's Whitmore. Here's Whitmore striding forward for the lead in the final furlong of the Breeders' Cup Sprint. What a day in the career of this 7-year-old. Whitmore, Iran Ortiz Jr. have won the Breeders' Cup Sprint in 1 minute, 8.61 seconds.
Say hello to the new boss, same as the old boss. Whitmore, at the age of 7, has taken the Breeders' Cup Sprint in his 4th attempt at 18-1. They were throwing it down here early, Matthew, and as we said, at some point a horse was going to win against this trend, and it was the amazing Whitmore.
That's spectacular. That really is. This horse, I mean, for so many years has been an elite sprinter and to win a race like this and win it this decisively too. Once he took control, this race is absolutely over. He wins by open lengths. I'm not sure what the final margins, Todd, about 4-length win for Whitmore. So a decisive win. He didn't run very well in the Phoenix. Ron Moquette for the race said he didn't like the track that day. He was a little bit far off and you couldn't close. Yeah, that margin's about 3.5 lengths. Whitmore 18-1, a price he has not been since he was 19-1 and finishing third in this race last year at Santa Anita.
And Caton, as you were alluding to, Ron Moquette, this has been a special horse to his barn. This has been a special horse to racing. I'm surprised he was 18-1. I can't imagine what the folks in Hot Springs, Arkansas think, but this is really a testament to Ron Moquette.
Absolutely. The care that the whole barn has taken with this horse, handling him with kid gloves, weighing decisions every step of the way, and never wavering from not only what's best for the horse, but also from the path to the Breeders' Cup if the horse told them it was okay to go. Also interesting to see that Whitmore really wasn't engaged as far as the pace was concerned until inside the 8th pole. So, I mean, maybe this puts to rest the idea that you have to be on the lead to win. Logical horses earlier in the day ran very fast on a fast track and were able to capitalize on their speed. But horses like Whitmore find a way to win any which way.
A horse that if you follow racing on a daily basis, you have come to appreciate, and now he gets to show the rest of the world what he's capable of. He's been here 3 times previously, and this 4th attempt dismissed at 18-1. Whitmore leads the way. Acacia?
Oh, Todd, I'm just so happy for Whitmore. I didn't use him anywhere, and I was screaming my head off. That's the kind of horse he is. But you're going to want to remember this Breeders' Cup. You can get all of your Breeders' Cup swag. There's great sweatshirts, masks, hats, everything you could possibly want for the Breeders' Cup gear here for 2020. Check out breederscupshop.com for more. As I said, you're going to want to remember this year's Breeders' Cup.
Entering the winner's circle for race 8, the Breeders' Cup Sprint, number 7, Whitmore. Owned by Robert LaPenta, Southern Spring Stables of trainer Ron Moquette, owned also by Head of Plains Partners of Saul Kuman. Herod Ortiz Jr. is the winning jockey. Whitmore, a 7-year-old gelded son of Pleasantly Perfect, out of Melody Spirit by Scat Daddy, the winner bred in Kentucky by John Liviakis. 6 furlongs over the fast main track, 1 minute 8.61 seconds.
There might not be a more popular winner on the 2 days. Whitmore in his 4th Breeders' Cup Sprint attempt. He takes it in style. And for the trophy presentation, to Saul Kuman, Ron Moquette, Bob LaPenta, who's watching at home, we have Walker Hancock, the president of Claiborne.
On behalf of the Breeders' Cup, I'd like to wish the congratulations to the Connections of Whitmore on an incredible performance in the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
A big congratulations to you both. Take those trophies. Whitmore earned that. Saul, have you come up as well as Ron? It's a performance that gives you chills because he's a horse that shows up each and every time. You've had some special victories here at the Breeders' Cup, but tell us why this one might be a little different.
Oh, man, a 7-year-old horse. This team has done an unbelievable job, and great partners. Bob LaPenta, wish you were here today. We miss you, and obviously thanks for letting us be part of this great ride. My first Breeders' Cup win was with Irad in those similar silks on Lady Eli. So when I saw the blue with him, we felt like we might have a chance, and all the credit really goes to these guys. They did all the work.
Ron, I'll have you come up here for me. For trainers, it's a 24/7 job. You wake up early in the morning, you got to go to bed early, and you go back. But it's a life passion. What does it make having a horse like Whitmore in his 4th Breeders' Cup Sprint attempt make getting up early in the morning so easy?
It shows that all the work that the barn does and that all the patience that the owners have with me, pays off. We do the right thing. We try hard. We keep showing up for work, and good things will happen. I want to take a time to say, a high five to heaven to Fred Edick. It's his first race without him.
Well,
thanks to Bob, thanks to Santiago, thanks to Luis. Obviously, Greta gallops him, works him, and he's not easy to be around. Laura does everything to him. Carlos, the whole crew. It takes a village, and everybody wakes up with the horse's best interest, and that's what I'm proud of.
Well, that village was with you today. Congratulations. This will be a victory we'll remember for some time. It is Whitmore in the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
Last one moves into line at the post. They're off in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. There goes Empire of Gold. There goes Echo Town. Jasper Prince has early speed as well. CZ Rocket comes away fourth. Yopon up close in fifth. Frank's Rocket is away running in sixth. Manny Wah goes seventh. Diamond Oops is eighth on the far outside. Whitmore is in between horses in ninth. Lasting Legacy moves up 10th. Forense Fire is 11th. Collusion Illusion 12th to the inside of Bone Raison. And Hog Creek Hustle is wide and last, headed to the far turn. 21.64 seconds the time for the opening quarter. Jasper Prince against the rail leads it by a length around the far turn. Empire of Gold second by 3/4 of a length. Yopon is in third. CZ Rocket is in fourth. Diamond Oops and Lasting Legacy move as a team to the center of the track. Echo Town and Manny Wah in some traffic looking toward the inside. Jasper Prince the leader. Here comes Empire of Gold on the outside of that one. Echo Town, an awkward move there. CZ Rocket is moving up on the outside. Here's Whitmore. Here's Whitmore. Here's Whitmore. Here's Whitmore striding forward for the lead in the final furlong of the Breeders' Cup Sprint. What a day in the career of this 7-year-old. Whitmore, Erod Ortiz Jr. have won the Breeders' Cup Sprint in 1 minute, 8.61 seconds.
A replay that we will watch for many years to come. Congratulations to the connections of Whitmore. The Breeders' Cup has traveled once to the state of Texas at Lone Star Park back in 2004. And in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, Speightstown was making the final start of his career. And it would prove to be the best start of his career.
Speightstown comes away with the lead. Speightstown in front. Goldstone battling on, but he is now spent. My cousin Matt, a long shot thread coming late. Warner Charlie on the far outside. Keeler's coming late too, but it's going to be Speightstown. Speightstown wins by 2 on the wire.
It's not how we fly, but how we fall that separates the pioneer spirit from the rest. This is what's remembered, what remains, when all else has been stripped away.
At Calumet Farm, we're proud to offer proven stallions to fit every breeder's needs. With over 72 million in progeny winnings on dirt and turf, our diverse roster is producing the champions of today and tomorrow. Calumet Farm, a legacy reborn.
When a new wave calls, you answer. When adventure calls, you answer. When the surf calls, you paddle out. When sunsets call, you find the best view. When the sand in your toes calls, you put more sand between them. When the ocean calls, you wave hello. Because when happiness calls, you answer. San Diego Happiness is calling you back. Please travel responsibly.
Practical Joke was all business. He won the home.
Practical Joke always showed a lot of ability. He showed a lot of heart, a lot of determination. Right from the first breeze, he identified himself as one of the best in his crop.
Practical Joke down to the wire, the Champagne.
Practical Joke took both the Hopeful and the Champagne Stakes, and he's a fast, tough, precocious 2-year-old, trained on, showed even better form at 3.
It is Practical Joke in the Allen Jerkins.
He's going to be a horse that no commercial breeder can leave off their list.
It's not how we fly, but how we fall that separates the pioneer spirit from the rest. This is what's remembered, what remains, when all else has been stripped away.
Hey, neighbor, we got to talk.
Jay?
No, he only comes to Bugle on race days.
Race days?
With the TVG app, every day is race day. You can place bets right in your phone, even stream live races.
Upcoming race at the Breeders' Cup.
I can have a day at the track whenever I want, right at home.
Coming through, guys.
Go get him, Mike.
Mike Smith?
Yeah, Mike Smith.
There's a new home of horse racing. Yours. Get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to $250.
The FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile, presented by the PDJF, featured a 1-2 finish by female runners last year. Uni gave trainer Chad Brown his first win in this Breeders' Cup race when she avenged an earlier defeat to runner-up Got Stormy. At Keeneland in 2015, the filly Tepin beat the boys for the first of trainer Mark Cassie's 2 wins in the mile. And a filly named Royal Heroine won the inaugural running of the mile back in 1984. This is the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile, presented by PDJF.
Andrew Balding sending out Kamiko, his Guineas winner. And Andrew, how has he made the ship from Europe over here to the United States?
Well, he seems to have taken it all in his stride. He's quite he's the horse with a really good constitution, and he's eaten well since he arrived here, and I've been happy with the way he's moving on the track, so we're pretty happy with his condition.
How do you think he'll adapt to the style of U.S. racing?
That's a big question mark. I mean, obviously his running this year and last year, for that matter, has been on sort of straight mile tracks. His best form's on straight courses, really. So the 2 turns is a concern, but he handled Goodwood, which is a switchback track, fairly well. So, I hope he's equipped to deal with the turns.
Are there concerns that he might be a Newmarket specialist, given what we've seen from him this year?
Well, obviously his 2 wins have come at Newmarket, but I think I'd like to think he could be, adaptable, hopefully, on a track like today.
We wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
Well, as you can look at the tote board and you can hear from those comments, it is a challenging race, and there's a challenge in this race that could lead to $1 million to celebrate FanDuel as a sponsor of this race, along with the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. Take your shot at predicting the complete order of finish in exact order. It's completely free. It is the FanDuel Mile Challenge here for $1 million, a free shot at $1 million. We just want to find the winner, but imagine finding the entire order of finish in here. But looking at the odds, at least early on, Matt Carruthers, we've got a 5-1 favorite, and that's the 5 Digital Age for trainer Chad Brown,
who's a very versatile racehorse in Digital Age. He had a big win at Saratoga, a mile and 16th, stretched out to the Turf Classic, made a huge late bid because it is difficult to run down Factor This, and he was able to do that. For more, let's go back into the paddock to Joaquin.
The final race today is the TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile, presented by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. Andrew Moore, representing TVG, is with me today. Andrew, why is this part?
And people said time travel wasn't possible, Matthew. All right, looking into the paddock here for the mile. You were in mid-thought. I'm sorry that you're interrupted. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I mean, Digital Age has an explosive turn of foot. To get by Factor This, that is a difficult task, and he was able to do that. Factor This is the 13 in this race. He's a major threat in this race. He's at 7-1. What a job for Brad Cox, who's my dad texted me when he knows what the Breeders' Cup initials stand for. Now, that was my dad sent me that about an hour ago. That was pretty good. This is a horse that what a ascension from the fairgrounds back in February, where he wins a grade 3 at 8-1, and then he wins a grade 2 at 9-1, and second in the grade 1 Turf Classic, and then he comes back and wins a grade 2 at Pimlico on the 3rd of October. He's very fast, so is Holiday. So you have a really quick horse in the 10. Player at 7-1, just went wire to wire in the grade 1 4-star Dave, and also at 7-1 in Factor This. So they're both going to want the lead. Saya's be very aggressive about Holiday, and Factor This knows one thing, and that is to try to get the lead. So the pace should be very honest, and I think people are looking at that, Todd, looking at Digital Age as a closer who's in good form for Chad Brown with Javier Castellano, and for those reasons right now he's at 5-1. Kameko the 2 also at 5-1. looking at his win at Newmarket on the 25th of September, Oisin Murphy was very busy on him early on, but what a big stride this horse has. And he showed that big stride late to win that race. I think this is his best distance, 1 mile. He's a 3-year-old. I think, the ceiling is huge. He only raced 9 times in his career. The third place finisher in that race, Ben Bottle, that is a really good Godolphin horse. Multiple Group 1 winner, won the Dubai Turf back in 2018. So that was a really good field that he just beat in that Group 2.
Simon Bray is our international horse racing expert. So when we turned to him earlier to ask about the lone European entrant and the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint glass slippers, he said no shot. Simon, as we look ahead to this race.
You're cruel.
I know. Where does Europe stand?
I think they've got a great shot, which means the Americans are going to win, right?
You're very kind to be self-effacing at this moment. Seriously, though, what kind of division has it been overseas this year, the mile division?
I think it's been fairly strong. I mean, look, Kameko is certainly a good 3-year-old. He ran well against older horses in the race that Andrew Balding referenced there at Goodwood. Mohath there, Circus Maximus, who's back in here. He's the one at 14-1. He tailed off a little bit in his last stop. Maybe the ground was an issue in the Queen Elizabeth II. But don't forget, Circus Maximus was a good 4th in this race, closing from off the pace last year. If he gets back to that form or close to it, he'll be right there. Horse I like, fellas, is the 4 Siskin, as we're taking a look at Matt's pick 4 ticket there, and I'm glad he uses the 4 Siskin for Girl Lions. Again, ran well in the Sussex Stakes, ran 3rd that day behind Mohath there, Circus Maximus. But prior to that, put together a solid 5-race win streak, including the 1,000 Guineas. The one thing I like about Siskin, Matt, is the fact he comes in here fresh. He bypassed the Champion Stakes weekend. He bypassed ARC weekend and comes in here as a fresh 3-year-old.
Matt Carruthers with a $45 play into this late pick 4. It's a guaranteed $2 million pool. We're guaranteed to be past that guarantee before they leave the paddock here. The pool is at $1.9 million. Huge pick 4 pool, starting here with the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund and leading to the biggest race of the 2 days, the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. Let's check in with Scott Hazelton.
The Grade 1 FanDuel Mile is presented by the PDJF, and FanDuel's Andrew Moy joins us to discuss this partnership. Andrew, why was it important for FanDuel to be part of the Breeders' Cup here at Keeneland Racecourse?
Well, we're just really lucky to be involved with the greatest horse racing event in the world, and we're very lucky to be, associating the race with the PDJF this year, which is such an important organisation. And for it to be the mile, to be the race that we sponsor, we're just really excited. It's a 14-runner field. It's one of the original Breeders' Cup races. It's going to be super exciting. And, like I say, it's just we're really lucky to be involved.
FanDuel is racing. It's sport. Is there an opportunity here for crossover between horse racing and the fans of sport and FanDuel?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year we launched a product called FanDuel Racing, which it brings the horse racing ADW product to the sports fan. We've brought already this year over 50,000 sports fans to horse racing, people who had never really bet on horses before, and really introduced them to that excitement. And we're also doing a $1 million pick'em game on FanDuel.com, which is going to be super exciting. So I encourage everyone to take part in that. It's not going to be easy to win. You've got to pick everything in the right order, but why not? It's a nice game to play.
Who should be the horse on top? Who's the number 1 horse here for the FanDuel pick'em game?
Well, I think a lot of people go with Uni, given it's last year's winner and has a very similar prep to last year. I'm going to go with Siskin, the Irish 2,000 Guineas winner. Just a little bit unlucky and a little bit inexperienced in the last couple of races, but I think everything's going to come together. But it's, again, 14-runner field. Take your shot. Everything's going to be a good price in the race. I'm really excited.
Looking forward to it, and we love the partnership. Always the best to catch up with you and enjoy the race.
Thanks very much, Scott.
Simon, what about Uni? She comes back as the defending champion in this race. Is she coming into it the same way she did last year, or has this been a subpar year for her?
I don't think she's quite coming into it as the way she did last year. I mean, it took her a little while. I guess the counterpoint to that is at least she woke up in her last start over this turf course, but the year kicked off in slow fashion, and sometimes that can happen. You're talking about a 6-year-old mare that had from November to June off. It might take her a race or two to get back to her best. Maybe she did it last time out and is starting to round into form. I'd certainly prefer her coming off that effort last time out than if she'd be coming off one of those efforts prior to her win in the First Lady. So she still needs to improve off that win last time to be a factor here this afternoon. She's got to get back to what she showed last year.
Lady Luck is visiting the Breeders' Cup today in the form of Naomi Tucker. Whomever she's been talking to before each race ends up in the winner's circle. Who do you have this time, Naomi?
Trainer John Quinn joins me here. Trains Safe Voyage. Now, Safe Voyage is a 7-year-old, just like the winner of the last race in Whitmore. John, what is the secret to getting him to peak at this time?
I don't know, but his last couple of years have been his best years, and he's been very consistent this year. We're very happy with him. Maybe could have liked a bit of rain, but we are where we are.
Well, he seems to also really like left-handed courses. How have you prepared him for this?
Nothing special, really. Just he's fairly simple. Just kept him ticking over.
And he really thrives on travelling as well. How has he fared here at Keeneland? Has he ticked all the boxes?
Yeah, he's been absolutely fine. He's settled in well, and he's been eating well, and we're happy with him.
Best of luck, John.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you.
Matthew, the speed of Halliday, should it be more respected in here than the 7-to-1 price?
I don't think so. No, the horse is 12-to-1 on the line. I'm a little surprised that he's that short because I think I don't know if he's faster than Factor This. I mean, Factor This is really quick, so I think that's the question for people. They're both kind of need the lead type, so it's tough to really fall in love with either one of them when they in a race like this with so much quality it's going to be behind them. If they go too fast up front, could be difficult. I mean, he got an easy lead. I mean, the 4-star Dave, it's a grade 1. He was 5-to-1. He earned a 105 buyer. He went 33-1 over a good turf course in Saratoga. But he did get an easy lead, Todd. I mean, he went 23-4 for the opening quarter. He got away with a 47.5 mile, and he was by himself doing that. He got Stormy, who was second that race, just ran, I think, 5th in the turf sprint earlier, but she came back to win the ladies sprint at Kentucky Downs in her subsequent start. So, no, she's really quick, but all his wins, Halliday, are wire to wire in races in which he's gotten easy leads, and I can't see him getting an easy lead here.
The field in the paddock here for the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. There's a look at the aforementioned Halliday. As we set up on the board right now, it's 7-to-1. Favoritism could go to any number of horses in here, including the 2, Kamiko, who right now is at 5-to-1. Also at 5-to-1 is the 5 Digital Age. So we're coming to this crucial stretch on this card. 4 fantastic championship races remaining, and it's also a crucial stretch and the BCBC. That's the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. Here's where we stand right now, and at the top, it is very close. Yes, Matthew Kwiatkowski at 130,000, Jason Lane at 128. Jonathan Kenshin, a longtime tournament player, hanging in there at 4th, and we know fortunes can change literally in the last race. It was 2 years ago at Churchill Downs. Chuck Grubbs, who is sitting well in the back of the pack, put all his fortunes on Accelerate in the Breeders' Cup Classic, came up with a trifecta that vaulted him to the top spot. And remember, it's a live bankroll. So this 130,000 that you see at the top here, that player has 130,000 plus the check they will put out, $1 million in prizes. And these next 4 races are clearly going to determine who walks away with the big prize and the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. Let's now meet our field for the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by the PDJF. The first horse we're going to see, Simon, coming from overseas, you mentioned him, Circus Maximus.
Circus Maximus for Aidan O'Brien. Roy Moore, 4th in this race last year, was the winner of the Queen Anne at Royal Ascot earlier this year. Unfortunately, since then has been winless. But I think, the excuse last time out was the heavy ground. That was a legitimate excuse. I think this horse prefers a little firmer ground. I think conditions should be perfect today for Circus Maximus and Ryan Moore. He'll make the turn. He'll lead him off here momentarily. Of course, Aidan O'Brien looking for his first win in the United States. In the last 3 years, it's been quite a dry spell, but horses have been running well. Hopefully he can go one better here. Here's the 2. Kamiko will be next for Andrew Baldwin. English Guineas winner, and comes in with a win in the Joel Stakes, the Shadwell Joel Stakes last time out at Newmarket. That was a Grade 2 event. Ocean Murphy, recently crowned British champion jockey, gets the mount here. The 3, Lope Fernandez, Aidan O'Brien's second runner, comes out of some sprint races in Europe, Matty, and probably is a big price and should be at 23 to 1. Matt, I like the horse, the 4, Siskin. I think this is a horse who's going to, like I said, prepared for this race, rounding into form. It's going to be the last race in his career. I think he's sitting on a big one, Matt.
Yeah, I hope he can break some. He's a problem breaking. Dwelt in his last start. He hopped big time at the start. At Longchamp on the 6th of September. A clean break is essential for Siskin. If he gets that clean break, I think he can win. Here's Digital Age. He's going to be flying late. He's gotten really good for Chad Brown. I think this is a horse who could be a phenomenal racehorse anywhere between this mile distance, and obviously he's coming off a Grade 1 win at 1 1/8.
Next is the 6, Safe Voyage for John Quinn. And then the 7, Casa Creed, who just got into this race by virtue of a scratch for owner Lee Einsiedler, Bill Mott. He's been knocking heads with some of the big ones. He's not quite there yet. He needs the performance to put him over the edge. The 8, March to the Arch for Mark Cassie, second in the Wood by mile last time at Canada. Gets back to 2 turns here this afternoon in the Silks of Live Oak Plantation. Scratch the 9, the 10, Halliday for trainer Todd Pletcher, we've been talking about here. And then there's the 11, Ivar, who kind of won the local prep for this race, if you will, the Shadwell Turf Mile, lightly raced. The Brazilian import for Paulo Lobo, won the Kentucky Oaks several years ago, getting a lot of respect here at the windows. The 12, Uni, we've talked about her. Hopefully she's back to her best. And then, Matt, fact to this, the horse you think is going to the lead here, no doubt.
Yeah, he beat Something Like It Hot Brown, who's a really fast racehorse. Something Like It Hot Brown was actually quicker than Halliday in the Bernard Baruch, and then factor this was quicker than Something Like It Hot Brown. So if that means anything,
it doesn't, because I didn't like the ride that day, but go ahead.
Oh, okay, and Something Like It Hot Brown came back to a 105 in his next start in the Mohawk. The 15 is Order of Australia. Pierre-Charles Boudreau looking for his second win on the program for Aidan O'Brien. It was another one in this race, and as Simon mentioned, Aidan O'Brien looking to win this race for the first time.
Acacia Courtney, help!
Let's see if we can with the DRF formulator stat here for the mile, Todd. Digital Age, the number 5, defeated 2 next out winners when rallying to take the Grade 1 Turf Classic at Churchill Downs. The runner-up returned to take the Dinner Party Stakes at Pimlico with a 110 Beyer speed figure. That was factor this. And the 8th place finisher came back to defeat Allowance Horses at Keeneland with a 100 Beyer speed figure. In addition, 2 other runners from that race returned to earn triple-digit Beyers. It's a very live race that Digital Age is coming out of for Chad Brown, co-favored now at 5 to 1. And you can get free DRF past performances for the Breeders' Cup at ./free.
Thank you, Acacia. And as the field continues to warm up, a reminder of the wagering menu you'll find here on the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by PDJF. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta wagering, jackpot, super high five as well. Then horizontally speaking, daily double, pick 3, and our final pick 4 opportunity of this 2 days of championship racing. Massive pool, well past the $2 million already. We didn't really give you ample time to talk about your approach to this pick 4, Matthew. So if you could, take us through your pick 4 approach.
Well, I think this is a spread race. I do. I think this is a spread race. Obviously, a lot of people think that your favorite right now is at 5 to 1. So, if you love a horse in this race, it's a great race to single. If you love somebody, because if you're right, even if other people have the horse that you have, they probably had to go 5, 6, 7 deep to get that horse. So if you can single in this race and be correct, boy, do you have an edge and advantage over other pick 4 players. But Kameko, I think, is a must-use. Siskin, the 4, if he can break. I think Digital Age with his closing kick. Casa Creed is on my ticket. Todd, the 7 at 34 to 1, and I'll explain why. When he lost to Factor This, no pace to run at. Factor This, wire to wire. When he lost to Holiday, he was only 2.5 lengths behind him. Holiday got an easy lead, and he was on the pace in the Shadwell. And we know that Ivar showed that explosive turn of foot late, rallying from 7th. Raging Bull rallied from 9th to run 2nd. So I thought it was a sneaky good performance to be on the lead with that hot pace. I think Casa Creed is a horse to use. Trying to hit a home run. I think that could be a tape measure one at 35 to 1. Monomoy Girl. I I just think she's going to be really, really difficult to deal with. So I think a lot of people will be singling her, or at least doubling up with Skydiver in the distaff.
Naomi?
Well, I'm going to go with a long shot here, guys. I'm going to give you all the number 3, Lope E. Fernandez, who has an incredible turn of foot. And that's why I'm going with the horse that's actually stretching back out to a mile. Now, he's run over a mile before, but the reason I like it is because I think this track is going to suit him perfectly. He can sit off the pace, has Frankie Dettori on board. We all know how good he is at this track. And if you go back to his best race 3 back, he was really close. They're only beaten by 3/4 lengths to Space Blues and Hello Yumze, elite sprinters. But he is by Lope de Vega out of a Down City mare and can actually stay as well. So I'm going to go with the Lope E. Fernandez long shot here, 23-1.
Fantastic number on a horse that it would seem, Simon, to just bolster that point that Naomi just made. The firmer ground should be better for this horse.
Yeah, and there's no question about that. And I think the added distance, as she was mentioning, not going to be a problem. This horse was 3rd in the Irish Guineas, too, behind Siskin, but stretching out, slightly firmer ground, should be in the corner of Lope Fernandez. That's a tremendous price there at 23-1 on that O'Brien runner.
The pick 4 pool is now at $3.5 million. The money is coming in bushelfuls right now. With each churn, it's about $200,000 going in. This is one of the most exciting 4-race sequences we'll find over the 2 days. It could also be some of the most lucrative for players out there. Get your plays in. Right now, they are approaching the starting gate. It'll be a short walk onto the turf and into the starting gate. Let's get the bottom line now from our analyst. Simon Bray, you first. Who wins the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund?
Well, top to bottom, it's a great betting race, and the favorite right now is Kamiko at 5-1, who's the English Guineas winner. I'm going to go with the Irish version, Siskin, the Irish Guineas winner. Todd, like I said, I think this horse has got some form. He's beaten a lot of these horses and ran well against older horses in his 2 starts. And again, I think he's been prepped for this. This is the last race of his career. Just on his toes there, getting a little warm. Maybe that would give you some cause for concern. The rider got his feet out of the irons there, but he's a very good-looking horse. And as Matt correctly pointed out, if he breaks, I think he's in with a big shot.
Matt, who wins?
Just to follow up on Lope Fernandez by Lope de Vega, sire of Von Pearl, right, who won the Juvenile Phillies Turf yesterday, sire of Newspaper of Record. So
nice to know that your wife is texting you during the show, but go ahead.
No.
You got that on your own?
I was here yesterday.
She's a petty geek.
I was here yesterday. I saw that On Pearl was by Lope de Vega.
Good job. I was here yesterday.
Sort of. I like the 2. I like Kameko. I think this horse gets the trip. I think this is his best distance, and this horse has a huge stride. I think that will be to his advantage at the end of this race.
It is a gorgeous scene here at Keeneland Racecourse on a clear fall day in November. The field is moving into line for the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by PDJF. The turf course is firm. The weather, as you can see, is perfect, and so is the field. This race embodies what the Breeders' Cup was intended to be, to bring the best from around the world together and determine who could be the best on this particular day. Some of the best horses from overseas, milers at various ages, now here to take on the best that America has to offer. It is post time for the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by PDJF. One more check of the odds. The 2 Kamiko, slight favorite here for trainer Andrew Balding at 5-1. Then a host of horses at 6-1, including that horse right there, the 5 Digital Age, along with the 11. That would be Ivar, who came to hand the last time out with a win in the Shadwell Turf Mile here at Keeneland. And then the 12 Uni, last year's winner. Uni, when taking the Breeders' Cup Mile last year, was 7-2 and is now a 6-1 shot. Let's go up to track announcer Kurt Becker.
Cup Mile presented by Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. Last one goes into line at the post. And they're off in the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile. There goes Halliday. Halliday goes right out for the early lead. Factor this as expected right there in the opening strides as well as they head for the first turn. Kamiko going to be up close down toward the inside in 3rd. Casa Creed 4th. Ivar is away running in 5th position. Circus Maximus 6th down toward the inside around the first turn. Safe Voyage 7th in between horses, 1 lane off the rail. And then Lope Fernandez, who's 8th back toward the inside for a ground saving trip. Raging Bold 9th. March to the Arch is in 10th. Then Then comes Siskin down toward the inside, followed by Uni, who's next to last, and Digital Age is at the back for the move up the backstretch. It is Halliday who is the leader. The opening quarter went in 23.48 seconds. Halliday leads it by just over a length. Factor this, second 3/4 of a length. Kamiko third. Order of Australia is fourth up on the outside, within 3 lengths of the lead now. Circus Maximus fifth down toward the inside. Casa Creed, then Ivar. The opening half mile went in 46.97 seconds. It is Halliday, the leader, by a length to the far turn. Factor this, second by 2. Kamiko third. Order of Australia fourth up on the outside, 4 lengths off the lead. Circus Maximus fifth. Ivar is sixth. Casa Creed is now back into the 7th position. March to the Arch is in 8th. Uni is still far back, center of the course, a dozen lengths off the lead. Halliday is the leader. Kamiko to the inside. Circus Maximus coming from the outside. And then factor this in 4th. Kamiko needs room to the inside of Halliday. Here's Circus Maximus moving up in Order of Australia. Order of Australia has taken the lead in deep stretch. Circus Maximus still trying. Order of Australia looking for a huge upset here. Order of Australia gets that upset at 73-1 for Pierre-Charles Boudot, who's having quite a Breeders' Cup.
Order of Australia draws in off the also eligible list, and it's as if over the course of this Breeders' Cup, people forget horses get in off the AEs. We just saw yesterday a 16 draw in at 74-1 and win. But with a moment like this, the biggest mile race we offer in America, Order of Australia, the pickup mount for Pierre-Charles Boudot, pulls off the biggest upset in this race, in a race that has seen big upsets over the years. Matthew, how did they pull this off at 73-1?
Yeah, I don't know. And yesterday the story here was Brad Cox, and today it's Pierre-Charles Boudot, because a scintillating ride in the filly and mare turf, right, to win that race with Adaria, running down Rushing Fall to win that race, I believe at 18-1. And now to top that and do it here, also eligible, who sneaks into the race as the biggest price on the board by far at 73-1, and hold off a great racehorse to win by a half length in Circus Maximus from down on the inside. Stunning result, and it's been all about Pierre-Charles Boudot on the grass today.
Simon, Order of Australia you would describe as a stayer. So when he got the lead in this mile race, he wasn't going to relinquish it.
No, he wasn't. That's the thing. He wasn't going to give it up. I mean, on form, he'd be tough to get to, regardless of whether he's an also eligible or not. But what about the performance of Aidan O'Brien? Winless in this race in his career, he runs first, second, and third. Order of Australia over Circus Maximus, over Lope Fernandez. An Aidan O'Brien trifecta here, topped with a 73-1 shot. Unbelievable.
And think about this for just a moment. To put these odds in perspective, 73-1. The next biggest price in this field was 21-1. And your order of finish, your top 3 finishers here, 15-1-3. That is 73-1 over 11-1 over 18-1. Order of Australia, the son of Australia, out of the Danehill mare, Senna's Dream. And Danehill, we know, Simon, his progeny love a firm turf course. Some of that has at play here. I understand you can make the case about the form, but again, to come from one of the most powerful yards in all the world and then draw in like this, they came to play.
Yeah, they certainly did. And just by showing up here, I think that's a vote of confidence. Look, I didn't pick him. I wasn't close to picking him. But the one thing we've seen, with Aidan O'Brien's horses, they run a lot. Maybe they're not always consistent, but they can rebound off poor performances like last time out. Clearly, there was an excuse. Maybe it was the soft ground. I don't know. But what an effort here this afternoon. The best domestic-based horse was Ivar, who finished 4th, and Uni completed the super high 5 there.
And as we take a look at the complete order of finish posted now, the 4th place finisher Ivar, and then last year's winner Uni ends up 5th. It is 15, 1, 3, 11, and 12. And it is astonishing to think about Aidan O'Brien, who has supported this Breeders' Cup event so often, that this mile race is something that eluded him so many times, and it eludes him no more. And Matt, it is an amazing gesture under these difficult times that Aidan O'Brien and Coolmore have backed this event. They have said the Breeders' Cup is important. Even if Aidan O'Brien couldn't make the trip, he made sure that his horses did. And so this is, again, a win like this, almost a good karma play here, because no one internationally has supported the Breeders' Cup like Aidan O'Brien and Coolmore.
For years. I mean, and it's not just the turf racing. I mean, they want to come over here and win in the dirt, too. And they nearly have in terms of the Breeders' Cup Classic. Naomi Tucker reporting, just came over to the set and gave me some good information. Order of Australia, a half to Iridessa. Billy Mare turf winner from a year ago. So
can we get that before the race, though? Like, just, you know.
It's a good tidbit.
Okay, it is good.
It's a good tidbit.
And she did give
the
the 3. She did give the 3.
Who finished third?
Yeah.
Who finished third at a huge price. God, you're
I know, but
tough today.
No,
your expectations are high.
Yeah. I loved your response. I was here yesterday. And we're going to be here for our next race coming up on this Breeders' Cup Saturday. Up next, we'll stay on the turf, and we'll be going. And coming up next, we will end up going to the main track, the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff, one of the marquee matchups, Swiss Skydiver, the 3-year-old filly, taking on the 5-year-old mare, Monomoy Girl. You're watching and listening to the Breeders' Cup Players Show.
In the winner's circle for race 9, the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile, presented by Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund 15, Order of Australia. Owned by Derek Smith, Mrs. John Magner, Michael Tabor, and Mrs. Anne-Marie O'Brien. The winning trainer is Aidan O'Brien. 2 wins today for jockey Pierre-Charles Boudot. Order of Australia, 3-year-old son of Australia, out of Senta's Dream by Dane Hill. The winner bred in Ireland by Whisperview Trading Limited. Time for the mile over the turf listed firm, 1 minute 33.73 seconds.
Ahmed, I'm joined down here in the presentation circle by Walker Buehler, ace right-handed pitcher for the world champions, the Los Angeles Dodger, and Walker is going to present the trophy for the FanDuel Breeders Cup Mile to representatives of the Coolmore Partnership, the owners not only of Order Australia, but also the runner-up Circus Maximus and the third-place horse. Tom and Max Watchman, David Watchman and Charlie Pearson, sons-in-law of John and Sue Magnet, are here to receive the trophies. But first of all, Walker, it's all yours.
Yeah, on behalf of FanDuel, man, we just want to congratulate you guys on your win, and obviously a fun race, and happy for you guys.
Gentlemen, who'd like to take the stand just to say a few words on behalf of the winning owners? David Watchman.
I'd like to thank FanDuel for very kindly sponsoring this race. It's great to have sponsorship in the times we're in. And once again, all credit to Keeneland for putting on such a great show again. Well done to Pierre Charles. You have to be lucky in life when you got the spare ride. At Dayton, an amazing training performance for the first three home in the Breeders' Cup Mile. And it's fantastic.
David, congratulations. Congratulations all. Walker, thank you very much indeed. Aidan O'Brien sweeps the Breeders' Cup Mile, sponsored by FanDuel. Ahmed.
And they're off in the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile. There goes Halliday. Halliday goes right out for the early lead. Factor this as expected right there in the opening strides as well as they head for the first turn. Kamiko going to be up close down toward the inside in third. Casa Creed fourth. Ivar is away running in fifth position. Circus Maximus sixth down toward the inside around the first turn. Safe Voyage seventh in between horses, one lane off the rail. And then Lope Fernandez, who's eighth back toward the inside for a ground-saving trip. Raging Bull ninth. March to the Arch is in 10th. Then comes Siskin down toward the inside, followed by Uni, who's next to last, and Digital Age is at the back for the move up the backstretch. It is Halliday who is the leader. The opening quarter went in 23.48 seconds. Halliday leads it by just over a length. Factor this, second, 3/4 of a length. Kamiko third. Order of Australia is fourth up on the outside, within 3 lengths of the lead now. Circus Maximus fifth down toward the inside. Casa Creed, then Ivar. The opening half mile went in 46.97 seconds. It is Halliday, the leader, by a length to the far turn. Factor this, second by 2. Kamiko third. Order of Australia fourth up on the outside, 4 lengths off the lead. Circus Maximus fifth. Ivar is sixth. Casa Creed is now back into the 7th position. March to the Arch is in 8th. Uni is still far back center of the course, a dozen lengths off the lead. Halliday is the leader. Kamiko to the inside. Circus Maximus coming from the outside. And then factor this in 4th. Kamiko needs room to the inside of Halliday. Here's Circus Maximus moving up in Order of Australia. Order of Australia has taken the lead in deep stretch. Circus Maximus still trying. Order of Australia looking for a huge upset here. Order of Australia gets that upset at 73-1 for Pierre Charles Boudot, who's having quite a Breeders' Cup.
Hey, neighbor, we got to talk. Well, Jay? No, he only comes to Bugle on race days.
Race days?
With the TVG app, every day is race day. You can place bets right in your phone, even stream live races.
Upcoming race at the Breeders' Cup.
I can have a day at the track whenever I want, right at home.
Coming through, guys.
Go get him, Mike.
Mike Smith?
Yeah, Mike Smith.
There's a new home of horse racing, yours. Get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to $250.
It starts with a dream, and if you have faith, there is reason to believe. And when you believe, add patience and time, and the horse of a lifetime could be waiting inside. Alone and in partnership, we breed, raise, race, purchase, sell, and stand world-class racehorses. Come dream with us. 3 Chimneys, where dreams are born.
One moment, you're up in the sky. And the next, you're in a free fall, 10,000 feet above the ocean. You have 30 seconds between you and the water's surface. And it's these 30 seconds that define who you are. Because how we face the fall is what separates the pioneer spirit from the rest. This is your legacy.
Catalina Cruiser. He won 7 of 9 starts coast to coast with 6 triple-digit buyers and 5 dominating graded stakes wins, including a record in the Grade 2 True North Stakes, a son of leading 5th crop sire Union Rags, a $370,000 yearling with an imposing physical, and one of the best of his generation. There's only one Catalina Cruiser, now standing at Lane's End.
The Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff produced one of the biggest upsets on last year's card. Midnight Bijou was the even money favorite, but Blue Prize drew off a win at odds of 8 to 1.
And it's going to be Blue Prize and Joe Bravo.
The previous year, sophomore Monomoy Girl returned to the site of her Kentucky Oaks win to capture the distaff. And it was Stop Charging Maria who prevailed when the Breeders' Cup Distaff came to Keeneland in 2015. This is the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Welcome back to Keeneland. I am joined by owner Michael Dubb. Michael, what an incredibly special mare, a horse of a lifetime. How are the emotions right now? What is this meaning to you, being here at the Breeders' Cup with her once again?
Well, you know, she's a once-in-a-lifetime horse, and so this is, you know, possibly her last race. So obviously I'm nervous as can be. I want her to go out like the champ she is, and butterflies from head to toe.
Are we worried about the outside draw?
No, actually, she's fine on the outside. She won the Kentucky Oaks from the outside. I think she's been on the outside 4 or 5 of her races, and it's never been an issue for her. She's got enough tactical speed that she can be wherever she wants to be.
Michael, let's hope for a sparkling performance once again from her. Thank you so much.
Amen.
It is without a doubt the marquee matchup of these 2 days. Swiss Skydiver, who has had a historical campaign, 9 starts at 9 different racetracks. Clearly the best 3-year-old filly in the country, beats the boys in the Preakness, that stirring stretch duel with Authentic, and now Monomoy Girl, who's overcome so much to get back to the races after winning the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff in 2018. She didn't race the following year, 2 for 2 this year. Matthew, is it going to come down to these 2 horses?
We could have one of those distaffs for the ages, right? You know, 1988, Winning Colors, Personal Ensign, 2016, Songbird and Beholder. It's definitely possible with Skydiver, you know, beating your Derby winner Authentic in Pimlico, at Pimlico on the 3rd of October in Baltimore. You know, while you last night were probably having a fancy dinner somewhere, I was on the backside talking to people. And I was talking to Brad Cox because he had a pretty good day on Pearl and Essential Quality. And he told me something. I was like, wow, can I go with that on the air tomorrow? He's like, yeah, sure. He said that she's doing so well, Monomoy Girl, that if the Classic was 1 1/8 instead of 1 1/4, he'd go there. That's the kind of confidence he has in Monomoy Girl today.
Just so you know, it was Joe's Stone Crab flown in from Miami, but I didn't pay for it.
Of course not.
The 3 Chimneys Cheers to the Breeders, Swiss Skydiver, bred by Windstar Farm, their beautiful property just off Pisgah Pike out here. And then Monomoy Girl, bred by Highfield Ranch. Now, there was a 2-day double coming in. I don't know if you're aware of this. I know you were here yesterday, but you may have missed this. It was the juvenile fillies to the distaff. And as we take a look, you'll recall there was a 6-1 upset in the juvenile fillies yesterday. V-Quist up the rail with Joel Rosario for Gary Barber. So you can tie that race into the distaff. Here are the $1 double will pays.
That's still not bad, right? I mean, to Monomoy Girl for $1, for $2 to get close to $40, that's pretty good. You see, obviously she's a solid favorite in the double, and then your solid second choice is Swiss Skydiver. You know, the bettors are going to make this a 2-horse race. Your third choice on the board right now is Ollie's Candy, the 9-horse, at 11 to 1. Joel Rosario, John Sadler, horse who's made nearly $1 million in her career. And a runner who hasn't won a race in a while, though. She's lost 7 consecutive races. Last win on the El Hirsch at Del Mar last July. So in a little bit of a funk. She's been close, but there's some folks that think that maybe she's the one to pull the upset. She is your third choice currently.
Kaiten Bradar has been the past week at both Churchill Downs and here at Keeneland in the mornings. Kaiten, you have watched Swiss Skydiver very closely. You've talked to trainer Ken McPeak after all her major preparations. The same is true of Monomoy Girl. How are the two main combatants coming into this race?
Well, while from very different paths, really similarly as far as how well they're doing. It's amazing, really. So similarly, Todd, that sentimentally I was trying to get a picture of Monomoy Girl when she walked into the paddock, and I was snapping at every chestnut that I saw, and I definitely know Monomoy Girl very well. But when I saw a chestnut streak come through that looked fantastic, I took the picture, and I thought for a moment it was Monomoy Girl, and when I looked more closely, it was definitely Swiss Skydiver. I think these two are remarkable in terms of their physique, the way they've been training, the way they've been coming into this race, and I think this is really the showdown that everyone hoped for, as far as a 3-year-old filly who really seems to be only just now reaching her best stride, and how remarkable that is for Swiss Skydiver, considering the miles she's traveled and the races she's fought. The question is how she fares now against elder competitors in her own group, and I can't wait to find out. But I do have a bit of a stake personally in Monomoy Girl for sure.
And for those of you who don't know, Kaiten Bradar's husband, Doug, is the jockey agent for Florent Giroux, and Monomoy Girl was one of the early big horses for him. He rode Gun Runner and obviously Monomoy Girl to that win in the Kentucky Oaks. So this is a very special horse to Kaiten and her family, and obviously the Giroux family. This is a race befitting of the sponsor. Longines has produced some of the most elegant timepieces in the world. They're the official timing partner of the Breeders' Cup. And as we look around this gorgeous facility, we see reminders of Longines, and we thank them for our support. And today, they are the sponsor of 2 huge races. This, the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff, the great showdown between Swiss Skydiver and Monomoy Girl, and then the Breeders' Cup Classic itself, along with the Breeders' Cup Turf. Huge races here, and we are happy to have Longines tied in as the presenting sponsor. There is a look at Monomoy Girl, and as Kaiten mentioned, she has looked fantastic in the mornings, and her record, for when we talk about great horses in the distaff division in recent years, Matt, she has truly flown under the radar because she didn't race in 2019. But then you look up, she's earned nearly $4 million. She's won 12 out of her 14 starts with 2 seconds, signature wins like the Kentucky Oaks and the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, you don't see horses be unbelievably great at 3, not race at 4, and then come back and be better than they were at 3 at 5. And I think that's what we're seeing with Monomoy Girl. So it's obviously a testament to Brad Cox and his team. In her win in the La Troyenne, might look like she was a little bit slower. The buyer went down to 97. She was 2 to 5. She didn't beat a lot in that race. She beat Lady Kate the 6, who's a big price in this race. You can't look any better than she looks in the paddock. It's impossible. She looks fabulous out there. But she had a very good trip in the La Troyenne. I thought she was slightly sluggish out of the gate. She was pretty wide going into the first turn. It didn't matter. She cruised right past Lady Kate and Risky Mandate in that race. So I thought that was kind of a perfect prep for this race. And I think that's one of the reasons why the bettors have made Monomoy Girl such a heavy favorite. She has that kind of perfect prep 2 months out, where as great as Swiss Skydiver was, and she was great in beating the boys in the Preakness in an unbelievable, thrilling finish, beating your Derby winners I mentioned earlier in Authentic. That race was October 3rd. That was a grueling race at 1 mile and 3/16. So she comes back off of a grueling race in 5 weeks, whereas Monomoy Girl comes off of a perfect prep race in her last start 2 months ago.
Kaiten, I was trying to think of 1 mile and 1/8 races here at Keeneland, both in the spring and the fall. The 2 prominent ones you would think of, the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes, obviously a prep for the Kentucky Derby, top 3-year-olds there, and then the Juddmonte Spinster in the fall. Outside of that, there's not a lot of 1 mile and 1/8 races on the main track. Having said that, with your knowledge, though, is the outside post something Monomoy Girl has to overcome here?
No, in this case, I really don't think so. It would, if she were very pace dependent, if she were the type of horse that had to have the lead, or the type of horse that had to have a specific setup, then I think I'd be a little bit more concerned about the outside post position. But she's pretty versatile, and in fact, I think the preference for her is to have a little bit of a target, although she can run very well on the front end if that comes down to it. So that outside post I actually think is a little better for her, as it gives Florent some options. As she breaks from the gate, he can go on with the pace if needed, or he can sit back and stalk. But, you know, that's the interesting aspect of this race to me, is how it's going to play out from a pace standpoint. Lady Kate obviously has some early speed and seems to be at her best when she's in the mix early. But some of the others, Swiss Skydiver can show speed, can sit close for sure, but Harvest Moon to the inside, they all have very similar running styles, and I think tactically are very, very similar. So I don't have a very firm grasp of how this is going to play out from a pace standpoint. And I wouldn't be surprised if Monomoy Girl were to break sharply, that Florent wouldn't allow her to kind of get a position on the front, maybe move over to the inside, and then see how the race develops. She is the type of horse that you can move around a little bit as far as show speed, come back, and has several different gears. So that works to her advantage as well, but I think the same is true, honestly, of Swiss Skydiver.
Matt, you know it's a big matchup when the camera view of a slow push into the tote board is mounted with tension. I mean, even that is dramatic. Looking at the tote board had me excited about this race, but now we are seeing the main horses exit here, the paddock for the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. There is your favorite, Monomoy Girl. So, Caton, dismissing the idea that the outside post is an obstacle in any way, do you feel likewise?
I agree with her. I mean, when you're a great horse, and she qualifies as a great horse, and you're you know, a horse that can rate, and it's kind of nifty early on as she is, I don't think it's an issue at all. You know, Swiss Skydiver is a runner that obviously she's fast, but she showed some versatility in the Preakness. And you know, if you're Florent Giroux aboard Monomoy Girl, I mean, you're worried about it. You know, you just want to be in a good position. You think you're on the best horse. You want to have the best trip you can have, but you have to be cognizant of Swiss Skydiver, and you can't allow Robbie Alvarado maybe to get 2, 3, 4 lengths in front of you, because you let a quality filly, a borderline great filly in her own right, and Swiss Skydiver accomplish that, then she could be very difficult to run down.
Let's meet our field for the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. Caton, in doing the morning shows this week, we had an interview with trainer Michael McCarthy before CC came out to California, and he is convinced that this is the CC we saw earlier in the year. If that's the case, the CC that won the Grade 1 Apple Blossom, then this could be a real upset possibility.
CC, very interesting, and training exceptionally well, as she will lead off the group here. You know, she put together that nice run earlier with those 3 consecutive wins, going right from Allowance Company to Grade 1 competition, winning the 1 Mile Beholder. Most recently, the 4th in September, enabled Mike McCarthy to give her a little bit of time off to recover, and we see her here today. There's Harvest Moon, a filly who you can't fault with 4 wins from 5 starts.
Yeah, I mean, her first start ever was less than 5 months ago. Dunbar Road, kind of a grinder, needs that pace up front, 23-1.
Horologist is another one who's been training exceptionally well, and no telling how good she is. Really a breakthrough performance, I thought, in the Beldame at the 1 1/8 miles.
Swiss Skydiver, terrific in the Preakness, great in the Alabama. That was an unbelievable performance at Saratoga at 10 furlongs back in the middle part of August. She's your solid second choice at 2-1. Like Monomoy Girl, she looks great out on the racetrack.
Lady Kate was game in defeat when finishing second to Monomoy Girl in the La Troyenne. Came back and ran kind of a flat race in the Spinster, but I could see her waking up here. Maybe the most likely pace setter in the field as well. And Point of Honor, coming off the second place finish to Horologist in the Beldame, is an improving filly for George Weaver.
Yeah, and underneath horse, too. She's been second or third in 7 consecutive races. The 8 horses Valiance, she just beat the 9, Ollie's Candy, did it here at Keeneland in the Grade 1 Spinster, and she's the bigger price of the 2 right now at 15-1.
And there's Ollie's Candy, another who I think is a consistent check-getter that you could consider in exotics, but hard to make a strong case for her for the win, as she seems to be second and third a lot more frequently. And there is my heart, Monomoy Girl, looking to stay perfect this season, and really has rarely disappointed. If you look back through her career, pretty amazing to see the number of 1s in her win column.
And that is your field for the Grade 1 Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff, the showdown between Swiss Skydiver and Monomoy Girl. But could someone beat these top two? The DRF formulator angle in this race. And Matt Carruthers, it's about Cece at 19-1. Trainer Michael McCarthy won the 2018 Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile with City of Light, utilizing the sprint to route move in the first start following a 61 to 120 day layoff. He is doing that here with Cece after the Grade 1 Clement Hirsch. He kind of retooled, came back, and a 7-furlong Grade 1 last time out of Churchill Downs. So he'd already shipped to Kentucky. Now he's given her the time off. But he did take her back to California, and he told our reporters on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup she is coming into the race as good as she was earlier in the year. Let me put it to you this way. Let's just assume all this is right. The angle's right. What the trainers told us is right.
And City of Light broke from the rail, too, I believe.
You were there, I think.
I was at a hotel nearby, actually.
Okay, thank you. Is her best good enough?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, you know, unfortunately for many of these really good fillies and mares in this race, they've run into, you know, Monomoy Girl, one of the best we've seen over the last 10 or 15 years, in Swiss Skydiver, who isn't quite there yet, but is on the precipice of it. And if she can beat Monomoy Girl, then I mean, you know, she proves that she's the best female distaff runner, obviously, in the country. So I don't think so. The one price horse that I'll mention, we haven't mentioned yet, is Horologist the 4. Because she's tactical. You look at her last few races. She had that worst trip of all time in the Apple Blossom, was beaten 5 lengths. Then she eased in the Santa Maria. Then she had that really good win in the Molly Pitcher, third of the Monomoy Girl, and wins the Beldame as we go to Joaquin Jaime.
Kenny, how long did it take Swiss Skydiver to recover off that hard-fought victory in the Preakness Stakes?
None whatsoever. She ate up that night. She always does. She's so consistent when it comes to all that. She, in all honesty, makes our job really easy. She's really durable. She loves what she does, and she's come into this race just as well as she did the Preakness.
You beat a Kentucky Derby winner. How do you defeat a Kentucky Oaks and Distaff winner today?
Well, I think Monomoy Girl's a Hall of Fame deserving mare. You know, if we could beat her today, I think it means a lot. We are still a 3-year-old filly. She's an older mare, proven, and this is our first step up. So it's going to be exciting to watch. I'm a little nervous.
Good luck, Kenny.
Thanks.
I mean, you could hear it in his voice. And Ken McPeak is not one that gets caught up in the emotions of it, Kate and Bradar. But, you know, what everyone recognizes in the industry, not only is he a very good trainer, but he's excellent at going to sales and finding bargains. This is one of his great finds, a $35,000 purchase at the Keeneland September sale in 2018, Swiss Skydiver. But it's good to know that he's nervous, because I think all of us are, who have been anticipating this showdown.
Well, indeed. You know, when you see these horses who just come in and perform and run their hearts out, as Swiss Skydiver did when she won the Preakness Stakes, you know, they lay it all on the line for you every time. So it's hard not to get nervous each time they come out there. And I will say this about Swiss Skydiver. Her resiliency is amazing. If you consider the fact that she has run 9 times this season and all over the country, and the way she's been able to rebound and bounce back to win the Preakness and beat the boys by a neck in a hard-fought victory, and then to look as good as she looks on the track right now. She carries great weight. She's training exceptionally well. She looks almost bigger and stronger now than she did when she started the season. But she does have to prove that she can battle against a little bit more battle-tested individuals who are more mature. As Kenny referenced, she's a 3-year-old. To her credit, it's worth noting that Jesus' team, who she beat, came back to run a very respectable performance earlier today on the Breeders' Cup card. But to me, the biggest threat might be, besides Swiss Skydiver Horologist, I agree with Matt as far as that goes, because no telling how good she is at this point.
Naomi, is this a 2-horse race, or do you see something more?
Well, I'm thinking the number 4 horologist could possibly pick up some pieces. I saw her in the Nellie Morse at Laurel Park. She's such a tough and hardy mare. And then actually sort of turned a corner and just turned into a really classy mare, that Belle Dame Invitational. She was chasing a runaway leader and just found everything. And I think Bill Mott shares my opinion of her here, because him and the owners here, Medallion Racing, they supplemented her in this race for $160,000. Talking about taking a chance with a horse that I think could absolutely pick up the pieces, if it all falls apart here.
Horologist up on the board at 15-1. The moment is at hand. They are 70 yards away from the starting gate. The marquee matchup, as great as the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic is going to be when it comes to two horses squaring off against each other. As soon as it was determined that Swiss Skydiver would go here instead of the Classic, we could not stop talking about who you backing, Swiss Skydiver, a Monomoy Girl. Kaiten, you first.
It's not just my heart, but my head also says Monomoy Girl. I think until she's beaten, she is the leader and the one. And she's given all the right signs in post-parade and in paddock as well. Calm, composed, as she always is.
Matt?
Unlike myself, Brad Cox is not prone to hyperbole. And he told me that Monomoy Girl, who's been great, has never been better. That's enough for me. That comment, what I see on paper and in video, and the way she looks on the racetrack, Monomoy Girl.
Gabby Godet, they're at the starting gate. Who do you have here in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff?
It's got to be Monomoy Girl for me, Todd. I have been so impressed by how she has been training in the morning for trainer Brad Cox and how she's acting here this afternoon. They're loading into the gate. Swiss Skydiver is getting pretty warm here, but Monomoy Girl is absolutely keeping her composure.
When you just looked at the fact that these two horses are here with the years that they have had and the careers that they have had, Monomoy Girl coming back after having not raced in 2019 to be back here to win this race again and take on a horse like that, the 3-year-old filly Swiss Skydiver, who has had one of the most ambitious 3-year-old filly campaigns since Rachel Alexandra. It creates this, one of the greatest matchups we've seen coming in to the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. It is now post time. Swiss Skydiver breaking from post 5.
They're off in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. There's Horologist between horses along with Lady Kate, and Harvest Moon is up close. And there goes Ollie's Candy from the outside. Lady Kate has a narrow lead from Harvest Moon, who's right there to the inside, heading into the first turn. Those two in close quarters there. Lady Kate now starts to move by. Harvest Moon second and a half length. Ollie's Candy forwardly placed in third. Horologist fourth. Monomoy Girl 3 wide and fifth. 3 lengths off the early lead. CC is sixth back toward the inside. Swiss Skydiver seventh between horses. Valiance is eighth to the far outside. And then Dunbar Road is ninth, and a gap of 6 more lengths back to Point of Honor, who is 10th and last. It was 23.11 seconds, the time for the opening quarter. Harvest Moon the leader, and Lady Kate second on the outside. A half length separate the top two. Ollie's Candy third in between horses, a length and a half off the leader. Horologist fourth down toward the inside. Monomoy Girl in the clear, far outside and fifth, still 3 lengths from the lead though as they head for the far turn. CC is next. Swiss Skydiver is against the rail, 6 lengths off the lead. Valiance to her outside. Dunbar Road, and then Point of Honor at the back, 46.03 seconds for the opening half mile. Lady Kate alongside of Harvest Moon. Here's Ollie's Candy looking for some running room now toward their outside, and Monomoy Girl gets engaged now, moves up from fourth into third. Valiance is moving behind her. Harvest Moon is the leader with a quarter mile to go in the distaff, leading Monomoy Girl a length and a half. Valiance third up on the outside. Harvest Moon is right there, and Swiss Skydiver is looking for running room down toward the rail. Monomoy Girl got the jump though, and she leads the field into the final furlong. Valiance to her outside. Harvest Moon third, Swiss Skydiver fourth. Valiance trying to catch Monomoy Girl. Late run from Dunbar Road to third. Monomoy Girl in front. Monomoy Girl wins the distaff by 2 lengths on the line for Florent Giroux in 1 minute 47.84 seconds.
In a sport where our stars do not stay around long enough, Monomoy Girl stays around to her 5-year-old season to win the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff yet again. Kaiten, I know you're probably chock full of emotion right now, but I want you to weigh in on what we just witnessed.
You know, my heart is beating out of my chest right now, Todd. But the thing about Monomoy Girl is that she if she makes the lead too easily, she waits on the competition. She likes to have a challenge. So the key was Florent waiting as long as possible to take the lead because he didn't want to let her get to loafing around and then get caught at the wire. But she's become so much more professional. To have her do what she does, regardless of the post, regardless of the situation, she finds a way. And he has spoken about how he never gets to the bottom of her, that she never gives 110%. She's able to win so easily. It just shows you, even at the highest level, what she's capable of as she comes around the field. Gives me a heart attack every time because you wonder, is she going to be able to run down the speed against quality horses every step of the way? Swiss Skydiver in the inside, but Monomoy Girl gets that jump and seems to know exactly what her job is and does it with aplomb.
Yeah, she has horses to her inside at the Matthew, a late challenge by Valiance, but in the end, it was only a challenge for second there as Monomoy Girl finds more, as Caton said. And if they never got to the bottom of her, well, that was pretty good of a career that we've had because this is expected to be the last start of this brilliant mare's career.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. And I think the key also is the fact that she can rate, rateable, and you're on the best horse, which is obviously the case with Monomoy Girl. You just want to avoid problems. You want to avoid traffic. So she has an outside draw. Let's get that position. We can move over a little bit. We can afford to be a little bit wide in this race. We can't be too wide. So they were probably 2-3 path in the early to middle part of the race. Little wide turning for home. You're on the best horse. It's better to be a little bit wide turning for home than stuck in traffic with horses in front of you or having that option, or should I dart down on the inside or stay to the outside? They never had to make that decision outside the whole trip. I think Drawn beautifully helped, and Monomoy Girl, I think she was a little tired at the end of this race, but you nailed it, I think. The ability to find more when necessary, and she put that on display once again.
The final time for the mile and an eighth, 1:47.4, just 1/5 of a second off the track record, but the time is not what is important here. And Caton, as we talked about, the connections pretty much declared this would be her last start. It is a perfect way for her to go out on a remarkable career, but the fact that we got to experience her one more time at the Breeders' Cup is a phenomenal sporting gesture by these connections. This is going to be a very emotional winner's circle, I would imagine.
I'm certain of that. And, I know from the Brad Cox team, while there was the utmost confidence in how she was doing and what she was going to do today, barring anything unforeseen, there were so many nerves surrounding the idea of just allowing her to be able to show what she could do and go out on a winning note.
Monomoy Girl coming back to a appreciative winner's circle. We're going to let Caton unhook and get down there. I know she wants to be in this moment. Caton, go enjoy it. Florent Giroux aboard. You saw the emotion of him as they crossed the wire. Look, this is what our sport is all about. And Matthew, this is what the Breeders' Cup is capable of producing. Moments like this that we'll remember for the rest of our time.
And how about one of the biggest owners in the game on the East Coast, in Michael Dubb? I mean, he was a co-owner of Aunt Pearl, who won the Juvenile Fillies Turf for Brad Cox yesterday. Co-owner of Monomoy Girl. He's invested so much into this game. Great to see him be rewarded for that with Breeders' Cup wins on Friday, and now a big one here in the Distaff here on Saturday with Monomoy Girl, who wins the Breeders' Cup Distaff, final start of her career, giving her her 7th Grade 1 win.
Astonishing. The anticipated showdown between her and Swiss Skydiver never really materialized. There was that moment at the top of the stretch that Swiss Skydiver came through the rail. She just didn't have the finish she normally does. Monomoy Girl instead having to hold off Valiance to the outside, the Juddmonte Spinster winner here at Keeneland. But here is Monomoy Girl take it in, coming to the winner's circle for the 13th time in her illustrious career. Start number 15 gives her, for the second time, the Grade 1 Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. Prices are in. Brad Cox continues to dominate this Breeders' Cup. And with no fans here, anyone who was able to get here is standing and applauding and trying to get their way to the winner's circle. We have seen some joyous celebrations here today, as is always the case at the Breeders' Cup. But you think about Whitmore and how popular that win was in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Monomoy Girl, the equal of that and possibly more.
And Brad's not done. He's got Arklow coming up in the Longines Breeders' Cup turf.
And here's the best part. When we asked him on the breakfast show who's doing best of all your horses, he said Arklow.
But he can't lose.
I know. That's right. That's how it's going to work out. When we come back on the Breeders' Cup Player Show, it is the Grade 1 Longines Breeders' Cup turf.
In the winner's circle for race 10, the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. Number 10, Monomoy Girl. Owned by Michael Dubb. Owned also by Monomoy Stables LLC of Salkuman, by the Elkstone Group LLC of Stuart Grant, and by Bethlehem Stables LLC of Michael Caruso. 2 wins today for Brad Cox. The winning jockey is Florent Giroux. Monomoy Girl, a 5-year-old daughter of Tapazar out of Drumette, by Henny Hughes. The winner bred in Kentucky by FPF LLC and Highfield Ranch. 9 furlongs over the fast main track, 1 minute 47.84 seconds.
Hello.
She did it again. Monomoy girl in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. Just an incredible run. And where do we begin with her, correct? We have to start with the presentation, of course. Well, Brett Jones, Breeders' Cup board member for the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Thank you, Brittany. So pleased to present these timepieces from Longines, who's been an incredible partner for horse racing, to a group that has been a great friend of horse racing. These guys make a huge investment every year. They deserve this great success, and they've got one of the greatest mares to ever run now. Congratulations to all of you. Incredible.
Michael Dubb, Stuart Grant, Saul Cuban, now 4-time Breeders' Cup winning trainer on 2 days. That is a record, Brad Cox. 7 in total, and Florent Giroux alongside the incredible victory that will be memorable. You get these beautiful Longines timepieces. Michael, if I could speak to you for just a moment about your wonderful mare. Yes, go right there. It had been a long road to the comeback, and we know patience is a virtue, especially as an owner. Can you just describe this ride and the comeback of the great Monomoy girl?
We have a great partnership group headed by a great management group, meaning Brad Cox, Brad Weisbord, Liz Crow. And when this horse faced adversity, Brad was so articulate in how he explained each issue that we never gave up hope that we could get here. So we all love to race, and we love when people fall in love with horses and fans. So we really wanted to keep her going, and to bring a mare back like this after 18 months, and this type of mare, one that just doesn't know how to lose, it's just incredible. And hats off to the group, and hats off to our partners, Mike Caruso, Stu Grant, Sal Kuman, his partners, just terrific.
You have put her in the sale tomorrow, so the biggest question is, was that her final race?
There's always a conversation to be had, but we have a board here, and we'll have a board meeting our partners, and we'll decide what to do. But she is scheduled to be sold, and that is the plan.
Initially, board, what are we thinking? Yay, nay? Can I get anything from Saul? Okay, I think we can campaign for Monomoy Girl. And Brad, I just want to get your thoughts on 4 Breeders' Cup wins that ties a single event.
Feels like Richard Mandela. No, it's amazing. Horses have been, testament to our help. They've been well prepared, and they've shown up and ran on a big day. Very proud of all the horses and the help. And obviously the ownership group for just keep a Monomoy in training.
Congratulations. Brad Cox hasn't wanted to leave this winner's circle. Well, he really hasn't. Congratulations, Monomoy Girl in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Swiss Skydiver breaking from post 5.
They're off in the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. There's Horologist between horses, along with Lady Kate, and Harvest Moon is up close. And there goes Ollie's Candy from the outside. Lady Kate has a narrow lead from Harvest Moon, who's right there to the inside, heading into the first turn. Those two in close quarters there. Lady Kate now starts to move by. Harvest Moon second, a half length. Ollie's Candy forwardly placed in third. Horologist fourth. Monomoy Girl 3 wide and fifth, 3 lengths off the early lead. CC is sixth back toward the inside. Swiss Skydiver seventh between horses. Valiance is eighth to the far outside. And then Dunbar Road is ninth, and a gap of 6 more lengths back to Point of Honor, who is 10th and last. It was 23.11 seconds, the time for the opening quarter. Harvest Moon the leader, and Lady Kate second on the outside. A half length separate the top two. Ollie's Candy third and between horses, a length and a half off the leader. Horologist fourth down toward the inside. Monomoy Girl in the clear, far outside and fifth, still 3 lengths from the lead though as they head for the far turn. CC is next. Swiss Skydiver is against the rail, 6 lengths off the lead. Valiance to her outside. Dunbar Road, and then Point of Honor at the back, 46.03 seconds for the opening half mile. Lady Kate alongside of Harvest Moon. Here's Ollie's Candy looking for some running room now toward their outside, and Monomoy Girl gets engaged now, moves up from fourth into third. Valiance is moving behind her. Harvest Moon is the leader with a quarter mile to go in the distaff, leading Monomoy Girl a length and a half. Valiance third up on the outside. Harvest Moon is right there. Swiss Skydiver is looking for running room down toward the rail. Monomoy Girl got the jump though, and she leads the field into the final furlong. Valiance to her outside. Harvest Moon third, Swiss Skydiver fourth. Valiance trying to catch Monomoy Girl. Late run from Dunbar Road to third. Monomoy Girl in front. Monomoy Girl wins the distaff by 2 lengths on the line for Florent Giroux in 1 minute 47.84 seconds.
Going to be watching that replay for years to come. It's hard to believe that it was 13 years ago that the Breeders' Cup came to Monmouth Park for the first time. Unfortunately, weather wreaked havoc on the day, with the main track very sloppy and the turf course soft. But rising to the occasion in the Longines Breeders' Cup turf was English Channel.
Turn for home. Shandanan second. Fry Guy can find no more. Dylan Thomas making real hard work of it. Can he come out now? Red Rocks down the center. Grand Couturier tries to get involved late. Better Talk now down the center. But it's English Channel absolutely dominating them out here. And it's going to be English Channel and John Velasquez, runaway winners in the Breeders' Cup turf. English Channel's romping in from Shandanan. Red Rocks third. A disappointing Dylan Thomas is in a photo with Better Talk now for fourth.
It's not how we fly, but how we fall that separates the pioneer spirit from the rest. This is what's remembered, what remains, when all else has been stripped away.
Breeders know that English Channel offers unparalleled value in its class. With 9 crops of racing age, English Channel has sired 6 champions, 5 millionaires, and 23 graded stakes winners. A perennial leader among turf stallions, English Channel has also sired 9 individual Grade 1 winners on both the turf and dirt. English Channel, the best value at stud.
Hey, neighbor, we gotta talk.
Jay? No, he only comes to Bugle on race days.
Race days?
With the TVG app, every day is race day. You can place bets right in your phone, even stream live races.
Upcoming race at the Breeders' Cup?
I can have a day at the track whenever I want, right at home.
Coming through, guys.
Go get him, Mike.
Mike Smith?
Yeah, Mike Smith.
There's a new home of horse racing. Yours. Get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to $250.
Undefeated Grade 1 winner Mastery won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe. Now his much-anticipated first-crop yearlings are bringing top dollar in the sales ring. Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's not how we fly, but how we fall that separates the pioneer spirit from the rest. This is what's remembered, what remains, when all else has been stripped away.
The Longines Breeders' Cup Turf has recently featured 2 great champions, showcasing their amazing talents over a grueling 12-furlong test. Last year, Bricks and Mortar got up at the wire and capped off an undefeated season. A year earlier, Enable became the only horse to win the Breeders' Cup Turf and the Arc de Triomphe in the same season. Another great mare, Found, scored an upset win over Arc winner Golden Horn here at Keeneland back in 2015. This is the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf.
Well, Todd, it's great to be joined here by Thady Gosson, son of John Gosson, and his assistant trainer, who of course has 2 brothers in here. Thady, let's start with the filly, Madai. She's been quite lightly raced this year. How's she coming into this?
Yeah, exactly. She had most of the year off, and she ran well at Asset first time back in very heavy ground, which she wasn't in love with. So, you know, she comes here off a very light year.
And then Lord North, I feel like he's maybe the higher fancy of the stable mates. How is he going to fare over the 1.5-mile distance? He's never gone over it before.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. He's only raced over 1.25 miles before, the furthest, and he's probably not bred to the 1.5 miles. But I think he, you know, it depends how quick they do. If the front runners will pull it off a little bit around the back, he should be able to stay it well.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who do you like best of the 2?
I couldn't possibly say that, but it's good to have them both here, and hopefully they'll both take their chance and run their race, you know.
Thank you so much, Thady. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Once again, Longines, the official timing partner of the Breeders' Cup and the sponsor here of the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf. Let's see where the wagering is going on right now in this year's edition of the race. Simon Bray is with me from his home in Southern California. Simon, are you surprised that Tarnawa is getting as much play as Magical in here?
I'm not actually, because, you know, I frequent social media quite a bit now. And this morning, there was a lot of talk about Tanawa on the social media channels. I think she was getting a lot of respect, and you know, the form has certainly turned out to be pretty good. I think with her last few starts, very good. I mean, you look who was third in her most recent race, the Prix de l'Opera. It was Audaria, who won the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf. So I think that has something that comes into play as well. And Dermot Weld, of course, he knows how to travel horses globally. So I'm not surprised in this situation. Magical Todd has clearly got the best form, but is she back to where she was, say, a couple of years ago? That remains to be seen here. She still merits a lot of respect, though.
And we talked about the rider change on the 3 Ternatwa there. We also want to take time out for our Cheers to the Breeder, brought to you by 3 Chimneys. Godolphin represented here with Lord North. Red King, legendary Calumet Farm. Channel Maker, Tall Oaks Farm. Caton, when taking a look at Magical, 2 starts ago, her win in the Irish Champion Stakes was brilliant over one of the best horses, at least time form rated in the world. But is there the feeling that it took something out of her, because it seemed at Ascot next time out on October 17th, she wasn't her brilliant normal self? Could she have put it all out there back in September in the Irish Champion Stakes?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? It is always a possibility, especially with fillies and mares, and Magical being a 5-year-old mare who has had a long and illustrious campaign. The question being whether, you know, you've gone to the well that many times, can she continue to come back, regroup off of that type of a lackluster effort, a less than typical effort for Magical? But I would argue that she has done this before, many times in her career, following somewhat disappointing efforts that cause people to question. She's rebounded against even tougher competition with victories. Last year, she did it going from Longchamp in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe to the Champion Stakes, winning really in an exciting and a gritty performance. So I am not convinced that we have seen the last of Magical so far as her Magical performances are concerned.
Just a few minutes ago, we showed you English Channel taking the 2007 Longines Breeders' Cup turf. His son, Channel Maker, trying to follow in his sire's footsteps in 2020 with the trainer of Channel Maker, Joaquin Jaime.
It was in the 1987 Breeders' Cup turf over at Hollywood Park, in which Theatrical gave Bill Mott his first Breeders' Cup victory. Bill, you're looking for another turf win here with Channel Maker. What has been the biggest difference with Channel Maker in his last 2 races that you have seen?
Well, we've had the benefit of soft ground, which we don't have today, and he's, you know, had a great pace setup. You know, we'll see what happens today. There's a couple speed horses in here. Looks like couple horses that could potentially show speed and entertain him a little bit up front, but we'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, the horse is doing great. I mean, he's trained great. He's come out of his last 2 races really good, and I think he's got a lot of confidence right now. We'll have to, you know, hope that helps him and moves him forward, because he'll have to move forward to beat this good group of horses. I mean, there's some good Euros in here. So.
And then you have Tacitus in the Breeders' Cup Classic. We know he's got big races in his back pocket, like the Suburban. Has he tipped you off at all that he's coming up to another big race?
He's doing great. You know, he was actually doing great going into the last race. I mean, we're going to have a little bit different pace scenario. He was on the lead last time, and you would think that with the way the fractions were that he should have been very effective, but for some reason he seems like he's a horse that probably would rather have a target, and he's going to have plenty of targets today. I mean, there's 2 or 3, you know, legitimate, you know, fast horses in there that'll show early speed, and we'll just hope that he gets a nice, smooth trip and is good enough to run him down.
Thank you, Bill. Good luck in these last 2 races.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Simon, you were an assistant to Bill Mott during that cigar campaign, as well as many other great horses, and he remains one of the gold standards for training here in the United States.
He certainly does. Bill Mott's had a lot of Breeders' Cup success. There's no question about that, including in the Classic. And he'll give you his honest assessment. And I think it's exactly right at Channel Maker. He's telling you, look, he's in good form, but he's going to have to step it up here against this group. And I think I agree with him. I think clearly, what is he, 6-1 right now? Looking at the odds there, that's a very short price to me on Channel Maker. I think the Euros dominate this race. But domestically, I think our best chance is probably from United, who was second in this race last year, Todd. I know we're not going to get 51, 52 to 1. But he has been tipping his hand since the middle of the summer. You and I consistently cover the Southern California circuit. Richard Mandella has been very high on this horse, dating back all the way to his Eddie Reed victory at Del Mar, so much so they contemplated jumping him into the handicap division on the dirt of the TVG Pacific Classic. He didn't do that, but I think he's a horse that, as he's got older, he can be a little more tactical. You know, in years past or in months past, Todd, he used to come from way off the pace. Now he's a little more aggressive in his races, and he can lay a little closer to the pace.
And I love the fact that Brad Cox, after he got his 4th win here just earlier of this Breeders' Cup weekend, and he was asked to put it in perspective, he goes, I guess I'm having a Dick Mandella type Breeders' Cup. It was back in 2003 that Dick Mandella had 4 wins on the Saturday card. It was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, a dead heat in the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf, a photo that I still don't think they've determined. It seemed like it took forever that day, 20 minutes. He dead heated as he sent out Johar, and then he took the Breeders' Cup Classic with Pleasantly Perfect, and I couldn't help but notice that Pleasantly Perfect did sire a Breeders' Cup winner earlier today. His name, Whitmore. So it all comes together once again here at the Breeders' Cup, and Dick Mandella coming back to a event that he has had great success over the years. And Caton, the 7 United, if you want to look at it this way, he gave our horse of the year last year, Bricks and Mortar, all he could handle in this race at 52 to 1. I would argue Bricks and Mortar would be in the favorites role here, so we know United has the race in him.
Oh, I would use Bricks and Mortar as kind of the standard, the bar to judge all the others against in terms of where they fit. But there are several others who have competed against Bricks and Mortar as well and run respectably, including Arklow. If you look to his Breeders' Cup Turf performance last year at Santa Anita, he finished just a couple lengths, 2 3/4 lengths behind Bricks and Mortar and United. And now the blinkers have seemed to cause a light to go on with Arklow so far as his style is concerned. He'll kick off the post parade here for Brad Cox, and I think the praise of Brad at this point, as far as how he's been training, speaks volumes. It would be a record-setting 5th victory in the Breeders' Cup if Arklow is successful. He's competed before a 4th and a 5th place finish in the last 2 attempts. I will say that the gait has been a little problematic for Arklow as he leads off the post parade, in that he has struggled a little bit. At times he gets stubborn, obstinate. He even stumbled badly and ended up leaving the rider. So the 1 is maybe a little bit problematic, but he's certainly coming into the race in the right way. Magical, the Irish-bred mare, coming off her 3rd place finish, looking to regroup and rebound. She, of course, chased the great Enable 2 years back. Tarnawa racing with Lasix in the United States, here off 3 consecutive wins, including the very impressive victory on heavy ground in the Prix de l'Opera. The 4 is also a horse who has had some gait issues. She gets Lasix here for her U.S. performance. 2nd start back off of freshening, 4th last out in the British Champions. Needs to behave in the gait to be able to have a chance here, but she has some talent. Donja, the German-bred filly, is 4th, beaten a length and 3/4 in Group 1 competition in Germany. She has a potent late kick. Lord North, coming in for John Gosden, 2nd of his runners, with Frankie Dettori on board, was very impressive in the Prince of Wales' stakes back at Ascot in June, and had put together a nice little run there. We'll see if he can regroup. And they're United. The gelding has really sparkled in his morning work, looking for back-to-back wins, and Richard Mandella with a return to the Breeders' Cup stage. Red King is interesting. He has been right there, in fact, beat United last out by a head in the Del Mar Handicap, looking for his 4th consecutive victory. The Channel Maker, likely pace setter here, looking for 3 in a row. Sword Dancer and Turf Classic were equally impressive. Doesn't seem to matter what type of ground he runs over. He gives his best each time. Mogul on the outside for Michael Tabor and company. Aidan O'Brien looking for his 2nd Breeders' Cup win this weekend. Has, I think, a tricky post position, although the 1.5 mile affords everyone an opportunity to settle into a nice position. Has won 2 of his last 3 starts, son of the brilliant sire Galileo.
Gabby Gaudet, lots of angles in this race. What's one you're looking at through DRF Formulator?
Well, Todd, I'm looking at long shot Red King, the number 8 horse. He proved that he could hang with some of the better North American trained turf horses and Del Mar handicap as he beat United, Originaire, and Another Mystery. All three of them returned to run 1, 2, 3 in the John Henry Turf Championship with buyers of 103, 101, and 100 respectively, as well as next out optional claiming winner North Country Guy. That's your DRF Formulator fact. Get free DRF past performances for the Breeders' Cup at drf.com/free.
Naomi Tucker with some thoughts here on the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf. Naomi.
From all the horses that I've just been able to witness in the paddock, I'm going to have to go with the number 10 Mogul. He looks phenomenal. Now, from my sources back in Europe, I already kind of knew that he's a horse that's quite barrely, has a big girth to him, but he comes in here looking phenomenal. Active walk. He has that stallion look to him. And in the last race, the Jumbo Grand Prix de Paris, he was behind a very, very fast pace, and he quickened away from it. A gap appeared, and he went through. He has a high cruising speed and a turn of foot. True test. This is a horse on the up and up, ridden by a jockey that's absolutely on fire, trained by a trainer that's won this race 6 times. I mean, you have to go with the number 10 Mogul here.
And Simon, with Mogul's running style, first of all, the 1.5 miles here at Keeneland, how unique is it to what these horses might be facing coming over to the United States for the first time?
Yeah, well, in Europe, more often than not, these 1.5 mile races on the majority of the tracks are big, testing 1.5 mile trips with, very undulation and big white sweeping turn, 1 or 2 if there is one. In this situation, Mogul's going to be going 3 turns. They start on the backside. It's a little different setup, but I think these horses can adjust. I agree totally with Naomi. This was a horse who I thought had a major chance in. He's coming in at the right time. The post doesn't really bother me too much here. I think there's plenty of time to get over and save some ground. And Pierre-Charles Boudot, 2 mounts thus far. His 2 victories that he had were both pickup mounts. This is a horse that he's very familiar with as he was aboard for that victory in the Grand Prix de Paris.
Son of Galileo out of the Danehill mare Shasti, bred in Great Britain. Mogul up on the board right now at 9-2. The money is starting to come in for Mogul, who was hanging around 5 and 6 to 1 earlier, and now the money seems to be coming for the 2 Magical. She's a slight favorite at 3 to 1, but right there with her is Tarnawa. Caden, Simon is conceding this race to the Europeans. Certainly history would suggest that. What we've seen so far at this Breeders' Cup, particularly on this day on the turf, would suggest they have every advantage here to what is definitely a race that they conduct often overseas. If America is going to upset the Europeans here, who's going to do it?
Oh, very tough question, Todd. I would concede as well that the Euros have the upper hand here, but certainly United is very interesting in that his maturity has given him the opportunity to be more tactical. I think he's coming into the race in a brilliant fashion. I also thought Red King caught my eye as far as how he looked in the paddock, his demeanor, his presence, and the fact that he's on a 3-race win streak. When horses gain confidence, they seem to rise to the occasion even as the stakes get higher and higher. I think that while this is a test for Red King, that he is a very interesting long shot. And of course, I still think that Arklow is a better horse than he's ever been. The barn seems to echo those sentiments in terms of how he's been training, and the fact that he has won here at Keeneland, I think, is no small point. He seems to do some of his best running here on this surface, appreciates a little give in the ground, and should be fairly tactical as well, which is something he hasn't been able to do in his races past. In Breeders' Cup, when he faced Enable and Magical last time around, he gives up a lot in the beginning stages of the race, and by the time he gets running, it's almost too late to close the gap. I don't think that's going to be the case again today if he is settled and controlled at the starting gate.
The field is being called towards the starting gate to move into line for the Grade 1 Longines Breeders' Cup Turf. A reminder of the wagering menu you'll find on this race: win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta, jackpot, super high five wagering, and our final horizontal volatile wager of this 2 days of championship racing, a daily double from this race into the highlight of the 2 days, the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. Gabby?
Todd, my pick is going to be the 2 Magical. She just exudes class on track here today. But in terms of the physical presence of horses on track, I am very impressed by the 6, Lord North. Watching him in the post parade, he was just really touting himself. And considering that this is his first start in the U.S., he seems like he's just taking it all in and nothing is phasing him. You can see him on his toes feeling great. So of all the horses on track, I'd actually prefer the 6, Lord North.
Up on the board right now at 10-1. Okay, Simon, makes sense of all of it for us because I've heard a lot of opinions with, and I also like. Take us through your race scenario here. What's happening in the early stages, who's setting the pace, what kind of pace, and ultimately, where is the winning move and who makes it?
I think the pace is going to be fairly honest. I think there's some legitimate horses that want to be laying close to the pace. I think United is actually going to be one of those that's forwardly placed here. I think that's his best chance. I look for him to be involved. If he's not on the lead, he's going to be sitting second, and I think he'll carry him there quite as far as he can, and I think that's going to be, you know, pretty much till deep stretch here. He's going to get the major challenge late, I think, from Magical and Mogul, and then Arklow, I'm with Kate, and I think he's going to pose a big threat late on the scene for Brad Cox. It's his Breeders' Cup weekend. Caton posed a question to him earlier on the week on Breakfast of the Breeders' Cup. Out of all the horses he's had, bear in mind, of course, they hadn't run at that point. He's had 4 winners to date. But he was asked which out of those his Breeders' Cup horses was training the best. Not necessarily had the best chance, was training the best. And he didn't hesitate to say Arklow was doing very, very well. He'll outrun his odds. He'll show up late. But I think it'll be between Magical and Mogul and United right there in the mix with Arklow showing up late.
The depth of the Longines Breeders' Cup turf is nothing short of an equine miracle in this year when travel is so difficult for anyone to go anywhere. Yet here we are at a Breeders' Cup where participation is up over the previous year, and then 5 years ago when it was held here at Keeneland Racecourse, we even have more horses entered this time around. This race is an example of how horse racing has endured with obstacles in front of it, and the depth of the Longines Breeders' Cup turf in 2020 is as good as any other year. The field is moving into line. The favorite will be the remarkable race mare Magical, with over $5 million in earnings and another exceptional year once again this year, having won 3 of 5 starts. And to show you just how sporting her connections are, she was racing 3 weeks ago at Ascot, and now here she is in Lexington, Kentucky at Keeneland Racecourse for the Longines Breeders' Cup turf. Now moving forward is the Prince of Wales winner from this year at Royal Ascot. That is Lord North. For Godolphin, United, who came so close to upsetting the field last year at 52-1, is waiting patiently. He eventually lost, as we said, to the horse of the year, Bricks and Mortar, and United will move into line at 7-1. And again, a price this year, not as big of a price last year. Dick Mandela was just sitting off to the side of our set here along with his family. He celebrated his 70th birthday 2 days ago. He knows what it's like to win races in bunches at the Breeders' Cup, but this is one he'd really like to add to his resume. And one of the final horses to move into line here will be Mogul, who has looked fantastic from the paddock through the warm-up. Let's go up to track announcer Kurt Becker. It's the 1.5 mile Longines Breeders' Cup turf, post time.
Last one moves into line at the post. And they're off in the Longines Breeders' Cup turf. There goes Channel Maker. Channel Maker outrunning for the early lead. And United also is up close in the opening strides as well. Red King is there, and then Magical between horses and Arklow back toward the inside in the 5th position. Lord North comes away in 6th. Medaya 7th down toward the inside. Tarnawa is 8th. Danya is 9th early on, and Mogul is 10th and last as they move around that far turn for the first time. Channel Maker against the rail now leads the way. It is Channel Maker in front of United by a length and a half. 2 more back to Arklow just inside. inside of Magical. Red King stacks up to their outside. And then Medaya back toward the rail, joined there by Lord North, who moves up alongside. Gap of 2 more lengths back to Tarnawa. Then Danya, and Mogul is at the back. The opening quarter in 25.57 seconds. 1 circuit to go here in the Longines turf. And Channel Maker is the leader. United just off the leader's flank, 51.06 for that first half mile. Arklow back toward the inside is third. Red King is fourth up on the outside as the field heads into the second of 3 turns in this journey. Magical is in between horses. Magical right up close there, but in between and caught in some close quarters. Now moves up into fourth, now challenging for third, 2 lengths off the lead. Further back, Medaya stays down toward the inside of Lord North, tracked closely by Tarnawa, and then further back, Mogul next to last, and Danya trails for the move up the back stretch. It is Channel Maker who continues to dictate the terms. Channel Maker leads it by 3/4 of a length. And then United second on the outside a length, the Red King. Here's Arklow looking for running room fourth, down toward the inside, 2 lengths off the lead. Magical is still in fifth, still between horses at the entrance to the far turn. Lord North is next on the outside of Medaya. And then Mogul starting to work through some traffic in between horses, running 7 lengths from the front onto the turn. Tarnawa, Danya at the back, and Channel Maker to catch. Channel Maker leading United, opens up, Channel Maker does, by 2.5 lengths. United put in an awkward step around the far turn, lost another length. Magical moves up on the outside. Arklow to the inside, Red King, then Tarnawa swings to the center of the course. Mogul still looking for some room down toward the inside. They've got to get Channel Maker. Let's see what Magical can do now. And then Arklow and Tarnawa. Tarnawa is running fast down the center of the course. Tarnawa past Magical, has caught Channel Maker. Tarnawa moves on by. Tarnawa and Colin Keane to win the Longines turf. It's going to be close for second, either Magical or Channel Maker for that runner-up spot in 2 minutes 28.02 seconds.
Dermot Weld breaking through in the Breeders' Cup. An already impressive career is just added to here with Dermot Weld's training job with Tarnawa and the pickup mount by Colin Keane. And Simon, Tarnawa was picking them up and laying them down like a house of cards.
Yeah, she certainly was, coming from off the pace here. Channel Maker, what a great ride aboard Channel Maker. And getting to the lead there for Manny Franco. He tried to lead him as far as he could. United, a little disappointing. Middle of the turn there, had a stutter step. I think just stumbled right about at this point and was taken out of it. But Channel Maker, it was his race to lose from here on out. Look at Tarnawa, left of the screen, takes the wide route here to avoid the traffic and comes rolling under Colin Keane. And how good has the Prix de l'Opera back on ARC weekend turned out to be? The winner has gone on to win the Breeders' Cup Turf. The third place horse, Ordara, came back and won the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf earlier this afternoon. And another filly here. We've seen 3 fillies now win this race since 2015. Found, Enable, and now Tarnawa. What a great performance here. Dermot Weld for the Aga Khan.
Magical is in a photo for second here with the 9 Channel Maker. Caton, the pace setter Channel Maker, was setting all the fractions that he would need in here, but it was a European style race with the slow pace up front, and Tarnawa's kick was just incredible here for her 4th win in a row.
A very fairly run race so far as the pace was concerned, where each horse had a chance, and the horses that were best on the day prevailed here with Tarnawa and Magical, and maybe a little passing of the mantle, so to speak, from Enable to Magical, now to Tarnawa, as far as great fillies coming over to win the Breeders' Cup.
Tarnawa going off at 9-2. Results of that photo, and Magical does get there for second. Channel Maker holds on for third. Lord North rallies here for fourth, and then Mogul checking in fifth. So Simon, Europe accounts for 4 of the top 5 positions here in the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf.
Yeah, as expected. I mean, they look to dominate coming into this race. They usually do year in, year out. Domestically, I thought for the U.S., Channel Maker ran a huge race, and no disgrace there, finishing third. But what a great filly here. The girls run 1-2 here with Magical, the 5-year-old mare, kind of rebounding, coming back to her form. Very, very good effort just a sad situation. I feel bad for Christophe Soumillon. Of course, it's well publicized, tested positive for COVID-19, and he's missed 2 victories here this Breeders' Cup. It's just another sign, of 2020 in play here.
Yeah, to further that point, the next race we'll be moving on to is the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, and I had a chance to hear from Greg Bensel, who's part of GMB Racing, a long time, has worked for Gail Benson and her late husband Tom, who owned the New Orleans Saints as well as the Pelicans. And Gail Benson wanted to be here for Tom's d'Etat in the upcoming Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, but Greg had informed me with the protocols that the NFL has in place for owners and players, there's limits on travel, but the entire Tom's d'Etat team is watching. Mrs. Benson was heartbroken that she couldn't be here because Tom's d'Etat means so much to her and the team, obviously named in honor of her late husband. That'll be coming up, but it speaks to what you're talking about, the protocols in place that limit people being here. That was true of some connections traveling over here for this race, but also the protocols you talked in place have worked to make this a safe Breeders' Cup in a perfect environment, and wherever you're witnessing it, you have seen the best that our sport has to offer in Tarnawa, putting it on display here in the Longines Breeders' Cup turf. You're watching and listening to the Breeders' Cup Players Show. Coming up next will be the biggest race of the 2 days. It's the Longines $6 million Breeders' Cup Classic.
In the winner's circle for race 11, the Longines Breeders' Cup turf. Number 3, Tarnawa, owned by His Highness the Aga Khan Studs, trained by Dermot Weld. The jockey, Colin Keane. Tarnawa, 4-year-old daughter of Shamardal out of Tirana by Cape Cross, winning 4-year-old filly bred in Ireland by His Highness the Aga Khan Studs. 12 furlongs over the firm turf today, 2 minutes, 28 0.02 seconds.
Ahmed, 1984 first ever Breeders' Cup turf was won by Lashkari in these colours, the colours of His Highness the Aga Khan. Fast forward 36 years, and today's heroine is Tarnawa, just the 5th filly in history to win this race. I'm joined by Barbara Banky, Breeders' Cup Limited board member, to present the trophy and the Longines magnificent timepieces to Taft McKinstry, who's representing His Highness the Aga Khan here in the United States. Barbara?
On behalf of the Breeders' Cup, we are delighted to present this trophy for this wonderful filly, Tarnawa, to His Highness. And thank you, Taft, for accepting. And we wish to thank our wonderful sponsor, Longines, who has provided these wonderful timepieces.
Taft, many congratulations. If you could just step forward, don't be shy, to our microphone here. On behalf of all of us, congratulations to His Highness the Aga Khan, another Breeders' Cup turf for him.
On behalf of His Highness the Aga Khan, I can't tell you how thrilled we are to be participating in Breeders' Cup. We thank Longines for their sponsorship, and it's just an absolute thrill to have won this race. Thank you.
Taft, thank you. Congratulations to His Highness. Barbara, thank you. Colin, many congratulations. Ahmed?
It's been an exciting day of racing thus far, and we have one more race to get to. Of course, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Classic coming up next. But before we get to that, I want to announce the winners of the Longines Prize for Elegance contest. Congratulations to both Keela and Austin for submitting your beautiful photos and for winning this year's Longines Prize for Elegance. And thank you to all of you racing fans for submitting your best photos for this contest. Congratulations. We're going to listen in and relive the 2017 Breeders' Cup Classic and take a look at the impressive victory of Gunrunner.
Gunrunner's got the lead. Collected West Coast is bearing down on them on the outside. Final 16. Gunrunner reaching for the wire. Collected's alongside. And then comes West Coast and War Story. But Gunrunner's on top of the world. He wins the Breeders' Cup Classic.
And they're off in the Longines Breeders' Cup turf. There goes Channelmaker. Channelmaker outrunning for the early lead. And United also is up close in the opening strides as well. Red King is there, and then Magical Between Horses and Arklow back toward the inside in the 5th position. Lord North comes away in 6th. Medaya 7th down toward the inside. Tarnawa is 8th. Danya is 9th early on, and Mogul is 10th and last as they move around that far turn for the first time. Channelmaker against the rail now leads the way. It is Channelmaker in front of United by a length and a half. 2 more back to Arklow just inside. inside of Magical. Red King stacks up to their outside. And then Medaya back toward the rail, joined there by Lord North, who moves up alongside. Gap of 2 more lengths back to Tarnawa. Then Danya, and Mogul is at the back. The opening quarter in 25.57 seconds. 1 circuit to go here in the Longines turf. And Channel Maker is the leader. United just off the leader's flank, 51.06 for that first half mile. Arklow back toward the inside is third. Red King is fourth up on the outside as the field heads into the second of 3 turns in this journey. Magical is in between horses. Magical right up close there, but in between and caught in some close quarters. Now moves up into fourth, now challenging for third, 2 lengths off the lead. Further back, Medaya stays down toward the inside of Lord North, tracked closely by Tarnawa, and then further back, Mogul next to last, and Danya trails for the move up the back stretch. It is Channel Maker who continues to dictate the terms. Channel Maker leads it by 3/4 of a length. And then United second on the outside a length, the Red King. Here's Arklow looking for running room fourth, down toward the inside, 2 lengths off the lead. Magical is still in fifth, still between horses at the entrance to the far turn. Lord North is next on the outside of Medaya. And then Mogul starting to work through some traffic in between horses, running 7 lengths from the front onto the turn. Tarnawa, Danya at the back, and Channel Maker to catch. Channel Maker leading United. Opens up, Channel Maker does, by 2.5 lengths. United put in an awkward step around the far turn, lost another length. Magical moves up on the outside. Arklow to the inside. Red King, then Tarnawa swings to the center of the course. Mogul still looking for some room down toward the inside. They've got to get Channel Maker. Let's see what Magical can do now. And then Arklow and Tarnawa. Tarnawa is running fast down the center of the course. Tarnawa past Magical, has caught Channel Maker. Tarnawa moves on by. Tarnawa and Colin Keane to win the Longines turf. It's going to be close for second, either Magical or Channel Maker for that runner-up spot in 2 minutes 28.02 seconds.
One moment, you're up in the sky. And the next, you're in a free fall, 10,000 feet above the ocean. You have 30 seconds between you and the water's surface. And it's these 30 seconds that define who you are. Because how we face the fall is what separates the pioneer spirit from the rest. This is your legacy.
Consistently versatile with 19 Grade 1 winners on every surface, from 6 furlongs to 1 1/4 miles, all over the world. 3 new Grade 1 winners in 2020.
Echo Town wins the Allen Turkey Stakes.
And Lady Spikespeare has gone on to win the Natalma by 3/4, Alda.
All purpose, all places, all power. Spikestown.
Hey, neighbor, we got to talk.
Well, Jay? No, he only comes to Bugle on race days.
Race days?
With the TVG app, every day is race day. You can place bets right in your phone, even stream live races.
Upcoming race at the Breeders' Cup.
I can have a day at the track whenever I want, right at home.
Coming through, guys.
Go get him, Mike.
Mike Smith?
Yeah, Mike Smith.
There's a new home of horse racing. Yours. Get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to $250.
The Longines Breeders' Cup Classic is a race that has given fans some of their most memorable moments. At the top of that list is American Pharoah here at Keeneland in 2015, completing the Grand Slam by adding the Classic to his Triple Crown. Tisnow won it for America in 2001 in a stirring duo with Saki. And who can forget Sunday Silence, holding off Easy Goer in a battle for a Horse of the Year. This is the 1 1/4 Longines Breeders' Cup Classic.
Pleased to be joined by Bob Baffert, who has a busy classic this year with 3 runners. Bob, let's start with Improbable, as he's had some antics in the gate. Have you seen him grow up at all leading into this race?
Yeah, I mean, last year he was very immature, and he showed a lot of promise, but really didn't deliver when we needed him to. And he's a different horse this year. He's filled out. He's gotten better, and he's shipped well. And he has some issues. He gets in there. It's not like he's bad. He just gets a little anxious in there. So the only time we've had issues with him, like in New York, a little bit. He'll get in there, but he's a smart horse. He knows when it's game time. In the morning, you could throw firecrackers under him. He wouldn't move at all. But I think he's doing really well, and he should be pretty tough today if he gets away from there.
Kentucky Derby winner Authentic. He's got that early speed. Do you think he's the fastest of your three out early?
Well, I think they're all pretty quick. I think Max is pretty quick. He has a lot of speed if you want to use it. And I'm actually my jockeys. They're going to ride their race. Like they know their horses pretty well now. I think Authentic is training like he did for the Derby, and I think he probably took a step back in the Preakness. I was like, even though he got beat by a nice filly. I mean, it was a great race and all that, but I just think coming into this race, he couldn't be, he's really, he's been trained. I love the way he's working. He shipped well, and he's maturing. He's like he's maturing, and that's why I wish I could, I hope and they run him as a 4-year-old, because he would really he's just starting to get good right now. And I think having the Derby in September was big for him, and because this is when the 3-year-olds start catching up with the 4-year-olds this time of year, and that's why I've been lucky to win it with 3-year-olds.
Bob, we appreciate your time. Best of luck with your 3 runners.
Well, they're all going to be tough. It's hard to separate. I know everybody thinks, but don't forget Maximum Security, the forgotten horse. He's like the other Baffert in this race, and I'm just hoping they'll run 1, 2, 3 would be perfect.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Why not? Aidan O'Brien already did it today. 1, 2, 3 potentially for Bob Baffert. Certainly a trio to be taken on here in the Breeders' Cup Classic. This is the race that we have been waiting for. The center point of this championship weekend. 20 minutes to post for the $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic at the classic distance of 1.25 miles. Here's a look at the odds as they stand right now. I am joined by Scott Hazelton and Gabby Gaudet. Scott, are you surprised to see Tiz the Law as the early favorite?
I am extremely surprised to see him sitting at 5-2 right now, and Improbable sitting at 5-1. Truly thought that this horse would be the favorite, and we'll see if this money shifts. You've got to expect that these pools are pretty substantial right now. And taking a look at the will pays, let's see who is the favorite in the pick 6 will pays here for the Breeders' Cup, ending in the Breeders' Cup Classic. You've got a couple that are paying out 5 of 6, and taking a look here, you've got Improbable paying out $33,000, stating 5 of 6. So we are 20 minutes away from this pick 6 conclusion in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
We'll see if we can't get you another update with regard to some of those will pays potentially throughout this broadcast leading up to the Breeders' Cup Classic. Gabby, you're on the other side. You've had a chance to take a look at these runners as they have made their way into the paddock. Who is making that great first impression on you today?
Christina, I'm trying to get a closer look, but from my vantage point, it's kind of hard to see all of the contenders. I did get a close look at Authentic, and he looks sensational. He has looked sensational the past couple of days when he's been training here at Keeneland, so it's no surprise. And I loved that interview with Bob Baffert because I still don't know who's going to win out of his 3. All week long, though, he keeps on talking about maximum security, and that he is the forgotten horse. And I keep going back to him as well, and I don't know if anybody is better than he is at the 1.25 mile distance. He shortened up in distance to 9 furlongs last time out, and the Grade 1 Awesome again. And yes, he might have been a little bit flat, but since then, Bob Baffert has been talking about how good this horse has been working and how well he has come out of his last race. And if you go back to the Pacific Classic, that was arguably one of his most impressive performances to date. Now, he's going to have to work out that trip to the outside with other speed to his inside. But maximum security, Christina, I truly believe this. I don't think anybody is better than he is at this distance.
Sitting there on the outside at 9-2, also at 9-2, Authentic. You're looking at him right now. He just keeps growing, bigger, better, stronger each and every race. Bob Baffert with shippers in a graded stakes race is 31%. Now, of course, this would be applicable to each and every one of Bob's horses that he ships in here today. And he is the projected pace setter in here. If you take a look at the Stats Raceland's pace projection on their True Odds page, I really think that Authentic is going to go to the lead as well. Johnny Velasquez was aggressive with him in the Preakness, allowed the rail open for the Philly Swiss Skydiver. I think he regretted that decision and kind of said so in the subsequent interviews and whatnot. I think you're going to see him aggressive and hold the rail with Authentic today. Let's go to the paddock with Mike Joyce.
Al Stahl sending out Tom's d'Etat, getting a lot of attention from the wagering public, and with good reason. His campaign was darn near perfect until last out. Take us through that trouble last time he raced.
Well, it was quite obvious. You know, he's a great gate horse. He loaded fine. He stood fine. And all that commotion went on towards his inside. And he's an inquisitive type horse. He had his head up and looking to the left. And the man said go. And we went down instead of forward.
The 1.25 mile distance. He's only run this far once before. Is it of any concern to you?
0.0. Nothing. No excuses. I mean, that 1.25 mile race was almost his first race of his career because it was coming out of a turf race where he didn't even pick up a foot. So pedigree says yes. He's a beautiful airway, long striding. He might even be better.
If you could pick your trip out, what would you get?
Well, certainly if the speed develops from the outside and the inside, and Joel falls in behind him. But you know, whatever he does is fine with me. Win, lose, or draw.
Best of luck.
All right, thanks. Good to see you.
Mike, thank you very much. Al Stahl's runner sitting up there at 7-2 right now. That's a look at Tom's d'Etat. Scott, I thought he didn't really get enough of a pass from most handicappers for that stumble in the Whitney. It was very significant coming out of the gate, and Improbable was able to go out and dictate some pretty comfortable fractions on the front end. All things considered, I thought it was a good race for Tom's d'Etat and something he can definitely rebound off of today.
It was a heroic effort. There's no other way of putting it, because as far back as he was in that race to the horses that got loose out in front of him, to finish third was an absolute victory in that Grade 1 Whitney Stakes. And I find it interesting to hear Al Stahl talking about the activity down on the inside. That activity was Improbable. That's the horse that was acting up down on the inside. So if that develops again and Improbable acts in the way that he has so many times in the past, it'll be interesting to see if Tom's d'Etat does react. And when he did stumble, it wasn't as though he went down. He really caught himself and was almost at a dead stop for a second, and he gave up a lot of ground to those runners.
Looking at the 8 right now, 9-2 on the board out there. That is Improbable. We'll get to him and touch more on his form in just a moment. But one of the most exciting handicapping challenges and tournaments of the year is the BCBC right here at the Breeders' Cup. This year a little bit different. Folks were able to play from different locations, obviously. But here's a look at the current top 5 players after the turf here on day 2. Good luck to the top 5 and to anyone else trying to leapfrog them. Many of you out there will recognize a few of the names on that list. Jonathan Kinchin, Vic Stauffer. Good luck to everyone playing the BCBC today. Here's a look at Tiz the Law. He's still holding as the favorite out there. Gabby, you have your eyes on him, and you've been watching this horse train all week. Tell us what you're seeing from him and what you're seeing that may or may not be different from how he was prior to the Kentucky Derby.
Well, Christina, I've been watching him train for the past couple of weeks. Barkley Tagg made the decision to ship him in early. He can be a particular type of horse in the mornings. He needs to get into routine. And I also think that he didn't necessarily like Churchill Downs, the surface of Churchill Downs. So I also think that Barkley Tagg wanted to get him in early to see how he liked the Keeneland surface. I have seen him develop and improve each and every day since he has been here. He looks like a happy horse, a confident horse. I've said this before, he's an expressive horse, so you know when he's kind of annoyed or angry. But I have seen him be perfect as of late. Now, the biggest question with him, Christina, is what he's going to do from the inside draw. Barkley Tagg has mentioned before he doesn't necessarily like to be inside of horses or covered up. So Manny Franco, I think, has to go with him to the inside. If he doesn't, I don't know if he can work out the right trip.
Looks like we're about to have the call for Riders Up in here. That's a look at Tiz the Law. Manny Franco will be right back aboard today. Second half of your odds bar there, those are the pick 4, and pick 5 will pays scrolling through. So if you are alive in any of these multi-race sequences, that's the pick 5 will pays on your screen right now. You can see as far as Tiz the Law, if you're alive to him, it was 52,000 in the pick 5, a little over 3,000 as far as the pick 4 goes. That's incredible considering how much money would have been returned back on that big long shot in the mile to begin this sequence. A couple other big prices clear throughout. Tacitus on your screen right now. The one, Todd Tripp calling him the gray Adonis. He is that. Very, very striking. Scott, he was a winner of the Suburban at Belmont earlier this year. He has picked up a win at this distance, but he's also kind of had a hard time passing horses on occasion at this grade 1 level. Let's get back down to the paddock. More with Acacia Courtney.
I'm with Sakatoga Stables, Jack Knowlton, Tiz the Law, breaking from post 2. Jack, what are the directions to Manny Franco in here? How do you expect the race to be ridden from that inside post?
Well, you know, usually Tiz breaks very quickly, and I think we'd like to stay off the rail, maybe in a 2-path, and probably, the speed's going to come from the outside. We expect Authentic's going to go to the front, but I don't think Tiz is going to be too far off. I mean, he'll break and let Manny decide where to put him. But I think he'll be in the first wave and probably, pretty keen because he's been off a while going into the first turn. I mean, it's a long run into the first turn. So I expect he'll be no worse than second or third going into the turn.
The New York bred that could, the Belmont, the Travers, what has been the journey? What has the journey been like for you leading up to the Classic here?
Well, everything was perfect until we got to Kentucky for the Derby. For whatever reason, he just doesn't seem to get along with that track. It's the only 2 losses he's had are there. The way he came out of the Travers, I think we all felt, and everybody felt, that he was a horse to beat in the Derby, but Authentic ran a great race that day. We didn't get by him. Today, I expect that, given 3 weeks on this track, he really seems to have taken to it very well. And we're just excited to get a chance to run in this race and maybe get some redemption on Authentic.
Jack, thanks for your time. Best of luck here at Tiz the Law.
Thank you.
This is an incredible, classy group of horses, each and every one of them just exuding that class, as you can see, Tiz the Law included in that sentence. It's incredible also, Scott, to think that second in the Kentucky Derby is a bit of a disappointment. I mean, with this horse, he's just held to such a high standard of perfection that is sort of the feeling walking away when you think you have the best horse on your hands from the owner's perspective.
And that's what happens when you put together the type of campaigns that he has, and with as patient as they were with this horse, they opted not to run him last year at the age of 2 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but instead to focus in on this 3-year-old campaign, and it has worked out. And it's not much different than American Pharaoh in his campaign. He was forced to miss the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and look what he did at the age of 3, capping off a 3-year-old campaign with a win in the Breeders' Cup Classic right here at Keeneland.
If he wins today, is he your horse of the year?
I think he does end up being horse of the year. There's so much on the line here. Swiss Skydiver had her opportunity to have herself in the mix as far as the horse of the year. That has gone by the wayside. Monomoy Girl's definitely in the conversation following her win in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. But if you see Authentic, if you see Tiz the Law, if you see Improbable come away with the victory here, even Maximum Security, they are going to gain a lot of voters' attention as far as horse of the year voting is concerned once we get those ballots at the end of this season.
Horses out on track now. We'll bring you a post parade in just a few moments here for the $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, the 1.25 mile distance, and the odds have not changed much, although outside of your favorite at 5-2, you can see where the bettors are just having a tough time separating some of the others. Tom's d'Etat, the 4 up there at 7-2. You heard from Al Stahl, and then outside with the other 2 from Bob Baffert's barn, the 9 Authentic, 9-2. Same could be said for Maximum Security, Improbable, holding at 4-1. So here we go to begin this post parade. Let's meet the field for this year's 2020 Classic. Tacitus kicks us off, the Suburban winner by 8 3/4 of a length. He runs 3rd off the layoff here for the Hall of Famer Bill Mott.
Current favorite is Tiz the Law, the son of Constitution from his first crop. Constitution standing at Windstar Farm. He looks impressive out there as he gets ready for the biggest test of his career.
The 3-horse By My Standards getting away at 23-1. This is a horse that was a winner of the Grade 2 Ali Sheba most recently. Also rattled off 3 consecutive victories in the early portions of 2020.
Tom's d'Etat, he's looking to become the oldest Breeders' Cup Classic winner ever. No horse at the age of 6 or above has won the Classic. He's 7, but he doesn't have the mileage that horses of his age typically have.
Title ready, 59-1, biggest price in this field for Dallas Stewart. He will be rallying from off the pace. Dallas Stewart known for getting a piece of it on these big days in the 1.25 mile events.
Higher Power, best known for his win in the TVG Pacific Classic last summer at Del Mar. He's run some decent races. Since then, he was third in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. You've just got to wonder if this 5-year-old is good enough to beat the best in this race.
The 7-horse Global Campaign gate-to-wire winner of the Woodward last out. He was able to dictate a comfortable pace up front. Javier Castellano takes the call for the first time for Stanley Huff today.
Improbable, the 8, still a good price, 4-1. The son of City Zip, a Keeneland graduate from the September sale of 2017. He's really blossomed at the age of 4. He has rattled off 3 consecutive Grade 1 wins. Another Grade 1 here would likely mean Horse of the Year for 2020.
Here is your Kentucky Derby winner, Authentic, in the silks of Spendthrift and My Racehorse, their partners. Bob Baffert trains. He was second to the Philly Swiss Skydiver in the Preakness. Has not missed a dance, though, through the second half of 2020.
And finally, Maximum Security, a son of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Champion New Year's Day and 2-year-old champion from his season. He has been quite the story, well documented the journey to get to this point. The bottom line, he's good, and by all accounts, his last 2 workouts at Santa Anita have been the best to date for this horse that has made over $12.2 million.
As the sun sets here, we are getting set for the biggest race of the weekend, the Breeders' Cup Classic, coming your way in 7 minutes' time. Joaquin Jaime has more.
Hey, Christina, we have another DRF formulator stat to consider here for the Breeders' Cup Classic, and we look to the 3 by my standards for trainer Brett Calhoun. By my standards goes out for a Brett Calhoun barn that is 4 for the last 11, with older last out winners returning from a 61 to 120-day layoffs in dirt routes. And here's a horse that has won 2 in a row, and he's won 3 races in a row at times, so he has shown he can repeat big performances, and he's currently up on the board at 23-1. Remember, you can get free DRF past performances for the Breeders' Cup at drf.com/free.
Big price, as you said, 23-1 on By My Standards. He has been defeated by Improbable and Tom's D'Etat when they last met. He looks to turn the tables on those rivals and more in this Breeders' Cup Classic this year. Here's a look at a few more will pays for you if you have any multi-race exotic wagers going. Good luck to you out there. 5 minutes to post now until the Classic. Mike Joyce.
Well, I caught up with Javier Castellano as he made his way into the saddling paddock, and I asked him what the plan with Global Campaign was, because it's his first time riding him, and it's a colt who actually does have some versatility, even though his last 2 wins came on the front end. I said, are you going out to get the lead? And he looked at me, he said, yeah, but there's a lot of speed in here, man. So that's it. We'll see if he can get the lead, but I think they want it.
That could be the intention for Global Campaign. I think that's the intent for quite a few of the runners in here. Acacia?
Looking at the number 1 Tacitus, Christina, a long shot that he has been a bit of a money burner, but he does have some class and obviously bred to be a good one. The thing with Tacitus is that he can be a horse that gets a bit distracted prior to the race. Jose Ortiz put him on the lead last time in a short field, and speaking to Bill Mott leading up to this race, he does not want him to be on the lead in this race today, even though he does have the inside post to contend with. What Jose Ortiz typically does to keep this horse calm prior to the race is keep him away from the rest of the field. He's warmed up without the pony on there, but I have to say, this is the best acting Tacitus I have ever seen. Got a little bit vocal, a little bit hot in the paddock, but all in all, once he got out to front side, he's really touted himself beautifully. He's a horse that I've definitely lost a few on as well, but he's one that you can expect to see settled a little bit more early on, or at least that is the intention from the connections and watching his warm-up here today.
He certainly seems to be maturing. He's been doing that in the mornings and in the afternoons. Tacitus for Juddmonte Farms, who of course won this race with Airgate back in 2016, looking to add another Breeders' Cup Classic for the owners. Behind Harley there is Tiz the Law. Gabby, I know you are such a fan of this horse and have been keeping an eye on him, as we mentioned. Ultimately, is he your top selection, or did you go elsewhere?
I didn't, Christina. I did not pick him on top. I really think it's going to be challenging to work out a trip from the inside. And Jack Knowlton said it himself. He should be a very fresh horse coming in off of the layoff. And also, just judging by how he's been training and working in the morning, he seems very keen. So I think it's a big responsibility for Manny Franco to work out a trip on this horse. If there's a scenario where he goes, right, and then tries to dictate on the front end, I think that might be the best case scenario. But what if he doesn't make the lead and he's down on the inside and he's resenting the kickback, or he is getting a little bit tough because he is so fresh coming into the race? I do have a couple of concerns with that inside draw. Do I question his talent? Absolutely not. He is definitely one of the most talented horses in this field, but the responsibility will be in Manny Franco's hand to work out the right trip.
Gabby, I'll just press you one more time on Manny Franco. Into the first turn, what are you expecting from him with Tiz the Law as far as the speed and maybe some tactics?
I think he's got to get Tiz the Law going out of the gate and hopefully secure a forward position. Whether he tries to, come out a couple of paths and maybe even float some of those outside speed horses a bit going into the first turn, perhaps that's a scenario. But I think he has to break running and then kind of let the race unfold in front of him. But I hope that he's aggressive with this horse out of the gate.
Scott, I think we need to give a little more attention to the 4 to Toms d'Etat in here for Alstall. We heard Mike Joyce ask him about the distance. I would back up, or personally just think Al completely right in terms of this horse. He's going to love the 1.25 miles. Does he get back to his winning ways today against these youngsters in here?
I think he does, because he is a horse that can take what's ever thrown at him. That's the advantage of having a 7-year-old battle-tested horse. And I know this is only his 20th start, but I think, as I said before, we don't see horses this old, this successful at this stage in the Breeders' Cup Classic, because we've yet to see a horse at the age of 6 or above win. But I think it's plays to his benefit that he doesn't have the mileage on his legs and on his body that a typical horse at the age of 7 would have. So Rosario is as patient and can just adapt to anything that's thrown at him from a rider's perspective. They have built up to this. They wanted to come into this race fresh. He's fired his best races off the bench. Last year, they opted not to run in the Breeders' Cup, instead to come here, run in the Fayette. He picked up his Grade 1 victory in the Clark Stakes, and this has all been focused on getting to the Breeders' Cup Classic. And not saying that these other horses haven't been built to this either, but it really feels like it's all coming together for Toms d'Etat. And as far as Tiz the Law is concerned, he's beat some nice horses. Don't get me wrong. He's had a heck of a campaign at the age of 3. But has he faced horses like Toms d'Etat? Has he faced horses like Improbable, like Maximum Security? There's going to be a bit of shell shock here when he's facing these caliber of horses that he has not seen in his career. And we've talked about it. Gabby's talked about it. We touched on it. As soon as this race was drawn, it's all going to come down to trip and whether he can get comfortable with where he's at early on in this race.
I'll ask you both the same question quickly. Gabby, of Bob Baffert's 3, who do you prefer?
Maximum Security. I think he was too close to a very fast pace last time out, and he's stretching back to his best distance.
Scott?
I'll go Max. He loves a battle, and I think he'll find himself in a battle. And when you've got a horse like him, he will lay it all out on the line for you. Nothing bothers this horse.
This is what the Breeders' Cup Classic was designed to do. The Pacific Classic winner, the Kentucky Derby winner, the Whitney winner, the Travers winner. The race for Horse of the Year is on. The $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic at the 1.25 miles. A few more left to load. We'll turn it over to Kurt Becker for the live call.
Last one moves into line. They are at the post. They're off in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. There's Authentic and Maximum Security from the outside in the opening strides. Authentic moving forward, quickly clears the inside traffic and starts to angle down toward the rail with the lead. Maximum Security goes second. Tiz the Law third. By My Standards is in fourth. Global Campaign is fifth. Improbable close up but wide in sixth into the first turn. Then a break of 5 more lengths. Toms d'Etat, Title Ready, Tacitus, and Higher Power at the back. It is Authentic who shows the way. Authentic against the rail, leads it by 2 lengths. Maximum Security second a length. And then Tiz the Law third to the inside by just a half length. Global Campaign fourth up on the outside. By My Standards is toward the rail in the fifth position. Flanked there by Improbable. Improbable toward the outside, 6 lengths off the lead. Break of 4 back to Tom's D'Etat. Title Ready, Tacitus, and then Higher Power at the back. It is Authentic who shows the way up the backstretch at Keeneland in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. Authentic leads it by a length and a half to Maximum Security. Tis the Law, Global Campaign, and then Improbable. Global Campaign and Improbable start moving forward together as they reach the entrance of the far turn. By My Standards, still 5 lengths off the lead. Tacitus, Tom's D'Etat, Title Ready, Higher Power at the back as the field enters the final turn. And it is Authentic who continues to show the way. Global Campaign is right there at second, just off the leader's flank. Improbable moves up to third. Maximum Security is fourth and still 5 lengths from the lead and has lost ground around the far turn. Tis the Law is next, still 6 from the front, then Tacitus and Tom's D'Etat. Here comes Improbable to the outside, trying to chase down Authentic as they move into the stretch. Global Campaign is third. Maximum Security is in fourth. Tacitus, then Tis the Law. Authentic hanging tough in the final furlong and leads it by 2.5 lengths. Improbable, then Global Campaign, Tacitus, Tis the Law, all behind Authentic, who strides away in the Keeneland sunset for John Velasquez. Authentic has won the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic.
An Authentic classic, a gate-to-wire score under the Hall of Famer John Velasquez. Congratulations to the connection, Spendthrift Farm, My Racehorse, all of the partners. What a celebration for Authentic here at Keeneland.
We just witnessed what this horse was able to do in the Kentucky Derby. Once he gets comfortable and out in the clear, he's able to switch things off, and nobody was ever able to come to this son of Into Mischief. What a campaign from this 3-year-old colt. Yet another Breeders' Cup Classic for Bob Baffert. For the longest time, a decade plus, Bob Baffert could not win the Breeders' Cup Classic. Then what does he do? He rattles off 3 in a row, starting with Bayern, and then we see performances like this with Authentic. Baffert is a master at getting a horses to go 1.25 miles, and it is on full display here with the sort of speed that they possess. This is how Baffert wins the Breeders' Cup Classic, with horses getting out on the front end and just absolutely running the field into the ground.
Gabby, he played come and catch me with them out there. Nobody getting to Authentic today.
You're absolutely right, Christina. Once again, a Hall of Fame ride by Johnny Velasquez. I was surprised that nobody actually decided to go with him early, and it was kind of evolving in the first 16th of a mile going into the first turn, Christina. We saw Tis the Law actually break really sharply, and if you look closely, Manny Franco was looking to his right and judging who was going to go. Ultimately, he decided to take a hold of his horse going into the first turn, and that changed the dynamics of the race, whereas Authentic was able to control on the front end. But this is a superb horse, and we knew that we were in for a big performance, judging by how confident Bob Baffert was going into the Classic.
He is so determined. You can see it, just ears pinned out there. He knows his job. He knows what to do out there on the front end, and nobody really making up any ground throughout the race. Scott, down the backstretch at one point, you did see Improbable and Global Campaign. Their riders realized we have to make a move on this horse. They did so in tandem, and were both discouraged at the top of the lane when this horse kicked clear.
Yeah, it was too little too late at that point in time. I mean, it was a very strong effort from Improbable, and give a lot of credit to Global Campaign for him to be able to hold on for third. Tacitus grinding out a 4th place finish. Maximum Security, he had every opportunity from the outside, but just was not good enough in the end here to go with Authentic. But what a performance in the shadows here in Lexington, Kentucky for this son of Into Mischief, Spendthrift Farm, MyRacehorse.com, Madacat Stables. What a journey this entire group has been on in 2020. This is what dreams are made of as far as in this sport. For a horse that broke his maiden at Del Mar last summer going 5/8 of a mile, he's really done nothing wrong. You look at his defeats. He lost to Honor AP in the Santa Anita Derby and was beaten by a wonderful filly in Swiss Skydiver in a masterfully ridden race by Robbie Alvarado in the Preakness Stakes, and Johnny Velasquez just never gave them a chance. That's what you do when you have a horse with the type of speed and stamina that he has. Just go out there and play catch me if you can, and they could not here today.
Cheers to the breeder, Peter E. Blum, Thoroughbreds LLC. Congratulations, Mr. Blum. You have bred a Kentucky Derby winner, a Breeders' Cup Classic winner. Congratulations to his owners as he is going to jog back to get his picture taken today. It was a marquee moment when he won the Kentucky Derby as far as horse ownership goes. We've talked about that quite a bit with My Racehorse, with Spendthrift Farm, with their partnership with the 5,000 plus people that are included as owners of Authentic. And this again is another pivotal moment in this game moving forward as far as an opportunity to become a part of it, to play in the big leagues, to attract more fans to horse racing.
And B. Wayne Hughes, you've got to give him a lot of credit. He was always forward-thinking. He's a man that has built an empire by being forward-thinking, and he's part of this and MyRacehorse.com. Just looking here at now Baffert's 4 wins in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Bayern, a late developing 3-year-old. American Pharaoh, different class, different level, right? Arrogate, late developing 3-year-old, wins the Breeders' Cup Classic. Same here. He was good early, but as Bob has said, if the Kentucky Derby's maybe early May, it wouldn't have been his time. He had Nadal, he had Charlatan. Unfortunately, we didn't see Nadal after his win in the Arkansas Derby, but Bob has created a knack in pinpointing these horses that will develop and get better at the age of 3, and that's how he swoops in and wins the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Son of Into Mischief, Authentic, making his way back here to a very happy group of owners. And you mentioned B. Wayne Hughes. He was unable to be at the Kentucky Derby this year. I'm just looking in to the winner's circle. He is here today for this, and what a special moment. He did allow this horse to run in the silks of My Racehorse in the Kentucky Derby. I thought that was a very sporting gesture. But for him to be here in his home in Kentucky to welcome this son of his Into Mischief into the winner's circle, what a moment for a man that has given so much to this game, and in turn with this horse specifically paying it forward for potentially generations to come.
You would think so, absolutely, because he's going to have a home over at Spendthrift Farm once he wraps up his racing career. And by all accounts and the discussions that we've had with these connections, it does seem as though that is the plan, to run him at the age of 4. And for Johnny Velasquez, a man that's won 16 Breeders' Cup races, now 17 with Gamine, 18 with the Breeders' Cup Classic. This is his first Breeders' Cup Classic victory, so congratulations to him. He picked up his 2nd Kentucky Derby this year with Authentic, now his first Breeders' Cup Classic with Authentic here at Keeneland Racecourse.
The garland of flowers draped over Authentic. He does get a little touchy with that. Let's see how he handles it today. Very excited out there on track. We're looking at the prices right now. Authentic at 4-1. He returns $10.40. Keeneland grad trifecta, Improbable second at 7-2 for Bob Baffert. Global Campaign running the race of his career today. Javier Castellano aboard. He checks in third at 25-1. It was 9-8-7 across the board. Those your official results of this year's Breeders' Cup Classic. We're just getting ready to welcome Authentic into the winner's circle momentarily here. Let's go to Kurt Becker.
Entering the winner's circle for race 12, the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, number 9, Authentic. Owned by Spendthrift Farm of B. Wayne Hughes. Owned by MyRacehorse.com of Michael Behrens, by Maddocket Stables LLC of Saul Kuman and Jason Monteleone, and Starlight Racing Stable of Jack Wolf and others. The trainer is Bob Baffert. The jockey is John Velasquez. Authentic, a 3-year-old son of Into Mischief, out of Flawless by Mr. Greeley. Keeneland sales grad, bred in Kentucky by Peter Blum, Thoroughbreds LLC.
Official results and order of finish brought to us by Trackus here. You can see with regard to the results there: Authentic, Improbable, Global Campaign, Tacitus, Maximum Security, Tis the Law, Title Ready, By My Standards, Tom's Tata, and Higher Power. It was really difficult to make up ground today on this horse. He kind of dragged them out there along the front end and never gave him a chance.
And what's most impressive about this victory, look at that final quarter time. Nobody ran a faster final quarter than Authentic, which means he was going away from them while they were chasing him. He had so much left in the tank going a mile and a quarter, and we can now put to bed any question that Into Mischief, the stallion, can get mile and a quarter type horses. That was so long the discussion. There's always that question mark around these stallions. Tappet was one of those for many years, but he's put that to rest. We saw it yesterday with Essential Quality, a horse that looks like he's only going to get better moving forward. But that is why Into Mischief is at the top of the game as far as here at Spendthrift Farm in Central Kentucky, and the most coveted stallion that we have here in the Central Kentucky area.
Yeah, it was the subject with Into Mischief himself for a while. He is son of Harlan's Holiday. They started talking about that in his own brief career, but he was just so electric on track, and he has become, as you say, one of the leading sires in all of the U.S. Into Mischief, the sire of this Authentic Classic winner today. Authentic now 6 for 8 lifetime, boosting those lifetime earnings quite a bit with a better share of this $6 million purse today. He came in with over $3 million in the bank. Authentic, the winner of the Classic.
As you can imagine, an incredibly excited group. What a way to cap off the Breeders' Cup. Authentic in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. And of course, for the trophy presentation, we're getting everybody in here. Lots of owners, of course. We have the CEO and president of the Breeders' Cup, Drew Fleming, and the chairman of the Breeders' Cup, Fred Hertrick.
Brittany, thank you. From our partner at Longines, what a classic. It was maybe one of the all-time greats that we'll all remember for a long time. Mask on, please, everyone. Yes, thank you. And again, we want to thank all our nominators, our worldwide audience, our worldwide participants, our worldwide nominators, our board of directors, all the employees of the Breeders' Cup team. It was one heck of a race. And I'm going to tell you what, the biggest ownership group we've got, you're seeing them right here. So again, thank you all for attending. Thank you all for participating. Brittany, back to you.
A big congratulations. And along with the gorgeous Breeders' Cup trophies, Longines timepieces for Spendthrift, Madicat Stables, Starlight Racing, and My Racehorse. On behalf of Spendthrift Farm, Eric Gustafson. Eric, it was a first Kentucky Derby win. It is a first Breeders' Cup Classic win. Can you sum up what this year has been for you, the farm, and of course, Mr. B. Wayne Hughes?
Brittany, no, I cannot sum it up. It's too much. I don't know that we're worthy of this amount of blessing. I mean, this is so incredible. We want to thank Bob and his team, Johnny V, for an unbelievable ride. I want to just thank Wayne for entrusting the rest of us. We got a lot of the Spendthrift team here today. To all the Spendthrift team that's back home watching, to the 5,300 owners for My Racehorse who are here and who are watching on TV. They're all screaming at home right now. This is just like unbelievable. It's the pinnacle. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And at least for today, Authentic is the best horse in America, and we're so proud to be a part of it. Thank you. Thank you, God.
You mentioned the thousands of fans that have been brought into this sport through My Racehorse, through B. Wayne Hughes supporting it, including you've got a World Series champion in Walker Buehler to the left of you. Tell me what a victory like this on the biggest stage means for the thousands of fans out there wanting to get into this game. What does it mean, a victory like this, for everybody watching?
I mean, it's fun to win races. It's fun to win a claiming race. It's exciting. It's like a thrill like you can't really describe. And then to win the Derby is just like ridiculous. It's like a regular race times 100. Right now I feel like a regular race times 1,000. This is unbelievable. My gosh, this is incredible. It's indescribable. That's all I got. I'm sorry.
I can see what's going through your head right now. The emotions are coming. Congratulations to you, to the entire team, Mr. B. Wayne Hughes, Starlight Racing, My Racehorse, Madicat Stable. The opportunity is here to get a part of this wonderful sport. Authentic in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Brittany, thank you very much. A wonderful trophy presentation there. And yes, this game is for everybody. This is a game that you can all be a part of. And a big congratulations to Authentic, to all of the thousands of partners across this country and internationally that may be involved in this horse. Let's relive it one more time, the Authentic Classic.
Last one moves into line. They are at the post. They're off in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. There's Authentic and Maximum Security from the outside in the opening strides. Authentic moving forward, quickly clears the inside traffic and starts to angle down toward the rail with the lead. Maximum Security goes second. Tis the Law third. By My Standards is in fourth. Global Campaign is fifth. Improbable close up but wide in sixth into the first turn. Then a break of 5 more lengths. Tom's D'Etat, Title Ready, Tacitus, and Higher Power at the back. It is Authentic who shows the way. Authentic against the rail. Leads it by 2 lengths. Maximum Security second a length. And then Tis the Law third to the inside by just a half length. Global Campaign fourth up on the outside. By My Standards is toward the rail in the 5th position. Flanked there by Improbable. Improbable toward the outside, 6 lengths off the lead. Break of 4 back to Tom's D'Etat, Title Ready, Tacitus, and then Higher Power at the back. It is Authentic who shows the way up the backstretch at Keeneland in the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. Authentic leads it by a length and a half to Maximum Security. Tis the Law, Global Campaign, and then Improbable. Global Campaign and Improbable start moving forward together as they reach the entrance of the far turn. By My Standards, still 5 lengths off the lead. Tacitus, Tom's D'Etat, Title Ready, Higher Power at the back as the field enters the final turn. And it is Authentic who continues to show the way. Global Campaign is right there at second, just off the leader's flank. Improbable moves up to third. Maximum Security is fourth and still 5 lengths from the lead and has lost ground around the far turn. Tis the Law is next, still 6 from the front, then Tacitus and Tom's D'Etat. Here comes Improbable to the outside, trying to chase down Authentic as they move into the stretch. Global Campaign is third. Maximum Security is in fourth. Tacitus, then Tis the Law. Authentic hanging tough in the final furlong and leads it by 2.5 lengths. Improbable, then Global Campaign, Tacitus, Tis the Law, all behind Authentic, who strides away in the Keeneland sunset for John Velasquez. Authentic has won the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic.
One more look at it there as Authentic scores in the 2020 Breeders' Cup Classic, and you're looking at a horse of the year as well. It's time for our final thoughts here as we wrap up the Player Show. Gabby, I'll start first with you, ladies first. What's your takeaway from Breeders' Cup 2020?
Well, we got to start with the Classic, right? And as you mentioned, it's likely that Authentic, with that victory in the Breeders' Cup Classic, will take Horse of the Year, but also top 3-year-old honors during the